Our story begins under a beautiful sky. A monk asks someone if he wants to know about Waiyanho. We are introduced to the living Buddha, Master Musan. A frail scholar replies that he does. He's collecting material to record Waiyanho's history. With a forced smile, the monk says Waiyanho, known as the radiant martial sovereign, was benevolent and upright, surely sent by the Buddha himself. The scholar eagerly notes this down and asks what Waiyanho was like in daily life. The monk grows uneasy, unable to maintain his calm. Finally, he bursts out cursing Waiyanho, saying he can't go on. Shocked to hear a monk curse, the scholar nearly faints. The scene shifts to the Peng clan of Hubei, where the scholar is kicked out. The elder, furious, demands to know why such a pathetic man would dare inquire about Waiyanho. He orders a whole bag of salt to be scattered where the scholar stands. The scholar is shaken, surprised that everyone reacts the same way to Yanho's name. We then hear the official account of Waiyanho, the radiant martial sovereign, a legendary figure who ended the age of chaos, a gentleman, a hero, and a chivalrous warrior celebrated across the world. Some call him the greatest of all time, others the ultimate warrior. The scholar travels on, using his Qigong technique, wondering why everyone avoids speaking about Waiyanho. As a historian, he feels duty-bound to uncover even the hidden truths of the past. He confirms that from Shaolin to the Peng clan, the responses are identical. The moment he speaks Yanho's name, people recoil. Before he can finish, the mad dog cuts him off, declaring it's only natural they know what kind of man Waiyanho truly was. From his perspective, Waiyanho was the worst of men. We are shown young Waiyanho at 12 years old, half asleep, mumbling about becoming the strongest. Born into a martial clan, he was raised in the warrior's code of chivalry. He already knew the fastest path to the top, relentless effort. But for such a boy, there was one small problem. He always put things off. We see young Yanho staring at the sunset, then lying back under his blanket, muttering that it's a shame. Today was supposed to be the day he began building his foundation. He consoles himself by saying he'll train tomorrow. Suddenly footsteps approach. A man enters his room, calling Yanho to get up, then shouts at him again until he rises. This is Yai Zhonghan, patriarch of Guangdong's Yai clan, a righteous swordsman and Yanho's father. He demands to know what time it is. Yanho says he saw the sun. His father retorts that despite seeing the sun, he's still in bed. Yanho cheekily answers that the sun is setting. His father asks how long he has locked himself in his room. Yanho guesses 2, maybe 3 days, then settles on 2. Furious, his father calls him a useless brat. It has been 4 days. Yanho had been rolling around, bundled in his blanket, for 4 whole days. His father glared at him and asked if his back didn't hurt from lying there so long. Even a bear would flip over from the sweat after 3 days, he snapped. With a nervous laugh, Yanho replied, "That's why I get up every now and then." Hearing this excuse, his father clenched his teeth in anger. Yanho added, "Actually, I tried to train today, but every time I opened my eyes, the sun was already setting. And if the sun is setting, you have to sleep so you can wake up early tomorrow for training." Exploding with rage, his father shouted, calling him a useless brat, then flipped the entire bed over. He roared that he would finally fix Yanho's rotten attitude today. That day, in the great Wai household of Guangdong, the sun was already going down. The scene shifts to the Guangdong Wai clan's office, where the patriarch sits clearly troubled. He mutters that this year may be his last. The clan administrator, Zhou Bang, approaches and asks if his worries are once again about the second young master. The patriarch sighs. Who else could it be? Zhou Bang reassures him, saying Yanho will surely grow out of it in time. The patriarch shakes his head. It's all my fault, he admits. We then learn about Wai Zhonghan, patriarch of the great Guangdong Wai clan. He had married Han Sang-a of the Wai clan. Together, they had 3 children, the unborn Wai Suryan, their eldest Wai Sanho, and their second son, Wai Yanho. Back then, Zhonghan believed his journey away from home would last no more than 2 years. Yet fate dragged him into countless incidents, and only after 8 long years did he finally return. In that time, he earned the title of righteous chivalrous swordsman. What he lost was far too great. When he finally came home, his once gentle wife had grown as fierce as a tiger, and the son he thought would never be a problem had become nothing more than a lazy sloth. We see Zhonghan sigh deeply. Zhou Bang tries to comfort him again. Do not worry, patriarch, there must still be a way. And what way is that? With a knowing look, Zhou Bang replies, "Has the patriarch forgotten? He will be returning soon." The patriarch pauses, then realizes who the administrator is speaking of. Zhou Bang explains that after 3 years, someone will be returning from the academy. The patriarch smirks slyly. There is one person Wei Yanho actually fears. We see someone step up behind Yanho. He suddenly shivers, wondering why he's getting chills. Turning, he sees his older brother. We are introduced to the eldest son of Guangdong's Wei clan, Wei Sanho. Sanho calmly asks Yanho how long he's been asleep. Nervously scratching his head, Yanho tries to dodge the question, asking when Sanho got back. But Sanho insists he answer first. Yanho stammers, avoiding his brother's sharp gaze. Flustered, he blurts out that it's not what Sanho thinks. He trained hard early this morning, really hard, but only took a nap because he was tired. Sanho cuts him off with a stern shout, saying he'll take responsibility and demanding Yanho show him what he's got. Yanho hesitates, then draws his sword. With determination, he charges forward and attempts to demonstrate the soaring dragon technique. But when he slashes at a candle, nothing happens. Yanho freezes, realizing he messed up. Disappointed, Sanho declares that 3 years is more than enough to master a sword technique and move on. Yet Yanho has only grown worse. The scene shifts to the Wei family's dinner hall. They sit down to eat. Yanho thinks to himself he's going to get indigestion. He's sure of it. The patriarch asks Sanho how life was at the martial academy, whether he faced any difficulties. Sanho replies that training without hardship isn't training at all. His father acknowledges his struggles and says he has endured much. Sanho humbly replies that it was his father who bore the greater burden, being away from the family for so long. The patriarch nods, then asks if there are any other matters. Sanho answers yes. 1. The matriarch leans forward, asking what it is. Sanho's gaze shifts to his younger brother. He says it's about Yanho. Everyone looks up in surprise. Sanho suggests that Yanho must be brought to the martial academy. The scene cuts to Mad Dog's narration. He says that even Master Musan and Peng Dojuk grind their teeth at the mere mention of Wei Yanho's name, and that was when history truly began. Back then, no one could have imagined that this lazy boy would one day shake the world. Just like that, Yanho was half forced into the martial academy. His family watched with mixed emotions. His little sister, Wei Surian, clung to him in tears, begging him not to go. Their father, laughing, told him to return as a man. Yanho comforted his sister, telling her not to cry. He'd be back. From Mad Dog's perspective, the journey of Wei Sanho and Wei Yanho was smooth. Well, at least for Sanho. Yanho, on the other hand, constantly complained. At one point, he asked his brother if they were almost there. Sanho replied flatly, "There are still 10 more days." Sanho was just answering Yanho's question when Yanho suggested they rest. He asked if Sanho realized how steep the hill was. Exhausted, Yanho groaned that his back and butt felt like they were about to burst. Spotting a group of people lying under a dead tree, he pointed and told Sanho they should rest there too. But when Sanho looked closer, his expression changed. Dismounting from his horse, he approached the bodies. Yanho, confused, asked what he was doing. After checking them, Sanho said grimly that they were too late. Everyone lying there was already dead. Shocked, Yanho froze. Sanho then revealed something on one of the corpses, explaining that this was the flower-indulging palm, once called the crimson flower palm. But because of a criminal named Seoji Ki, a rapist who used this technique while committing atrocities, it had become infamous as the flower-indulging palm. Horrified, Yanho asked if that meant the rapist was nearby. Sanho explained that Seoji Ki targeted women traveling through the mountains. These dead men must have been ambushed while trying to protect a woman, which meant somewhere nearby, a woman was still in danger. Sanho ordered Yanho to stay behind with the corpses, then rushed off, saying he would return soon. Left alone, Yanho grew increasingly frustrated. He looked at the horses, then at the lifeless bodies, muttering that he was doomed. Dark clouds rolled in, and the sky turned as if rain could fall any moment. Yanho shouted into the distance, calling his brother a liar and demanding to know why he was taking so long. He thought Sanho should have just taken him along. Otherwise, he would never be this late. Uneasy, Yanho realized he had to do something or risk becoming a tiger's dinner if he stayed put. Suddenly, thunder cracked overhead, followed by rain. Yanho and the horses stood in the storm, soaked, as he muttered that he was really in trouble. Trying to take action, he attempted to hoist the bodies onto the horses' backs, but it was no use. He reasoned he couldn't leave them to be eaten by tigers, yet he couldn't bury them either. It was raining too hard, and he needed shelter. The horses suddenly became restless, refusing to listen. Another flash of lightning and a loud crack of thunder spooked them. One of the horses lashed out with its hooves, striking Yanho and sending him tumbling down the hill. He hit the ground hard and groaned in pain, cursing the horses as he clutched his back. Forcing himself up, he noticed a cave nearby. Relieved, he stumbled inside, glad to have found shelter from the storm. Moments later, the horses also wandered into the cave. Yanho tied them down, muttering that he couldn't even bring himself to hit them. Looking at his mud-soaked clothes, he sighed bitterly. What a mess. This, he thought, was exactly why he preferred staying at home. Yunho leaves a mark outside the cave so Sanho can find him. With nothing else to do, he lies down, telling himself his brother is strong and will be fine. Soon, Yunho falls into a deep sleep. Some time passes. Suddenly, a faint blue light begins to gather around Yunho. The glow slowly wraps around his body, lifting him gently into the air. Still sleeping, Yunho is carried deeper into the cave, or so it seems. The light slips him through what looks like an invisible barrier. Yunho wakes up, startled. He looks around and mutters, "Where am I?" The place resembles the cave, but the structure feels different, strange. Did I roll deeper while I was sleeping? Then a voice echoes, "Faded human." Yunho freezes. His eyes dart around. A voice? He panics, stumbles back against the wall, and screams. A glowing blue spear of light flickers before him. Trembling, he blurts out, Is the voice coming from that glowing thing?" "Yes," the voice answers. "I have transcended the limits of flesh. I speak to you from beyond time and space. Accept my will and rule this world." Yunho shrieks again. "It's a ghost." "Do not be afraid," the voice replies calmly. "I am already dead. Only my will remains here. I left this legacy for the one destined to find it." At that, Yunho suddenly smirks. "Wait, a cave with no one around, the lingering will of an old master. This feels familiar. Could this be fate?" His eyes sparkle greedily. "The heavens must be rewarding me for my kindness. If I become strong here, I'll never need to go to that martial training hall." The voice continues. "I will teach you my radiant sword, train tirelessly. If you devote 30 years, you may be able to replicate even a fraction of my art. Since you bear the old bloodline, you should have the talent needed." Yunho blinks. 30 years? He waves his hands furiously. "No thanks, old man. Find someone else. I'm not wasting 3 decades in a hole." Back to Mad Dog's narration. And that, my friends, was the fateful encounter that should have made the loser Yunho into a legend. But Yunho interrupts fate itself. He shouts at the voice, "This isn't destiny, this is a scam," and turns to run. The light trembles. Wait. Suddenly the glow reshapes itself into the form of an old man. Yunho stops, points, and declares triumphantly, "Ha! I knew it! You're a scammer pretending to be a ghost." The old man frowns. "How dare you? I am a spirit, my body long gone." Yunho scowls, not buying a word. He swings a fist straight through the old man, and promptly trips when his hand passes through. He screams in terror. "You really are a ghost." The old man's face darkens. "This is spirit transmission arts, something only the most advanced martial artists can achieve." "I am not a ghost." But Yunho just shrieks louder. "Nope. They call that a ghost." The old man finally snaps, roaring in frustration while Mad Dog's narration cuts back in, underscoring the absurdity of Yunho's fateful chance. Mad Dog smirked and said, "And that's how Yunho met his master." The young scholar leaned forward, curious. "Wait, does something like spirit transmission arts actually exist?" Mad Dog nodded. "It's a technique only martial artists at the absolute peak can attain." The scholar pressed further. "Then, who's one martial artist who could use it?" Mad Dog chuckled. "You know the Sword Emperor, right?" The scholar scoffed. "Of course, he's the strongest man in history, the greatest of the Thousand Swords Beck clan, a master who will forever be remembered in martial arts." "Exactly," Mad Dog said. "Beck Muhan, the Radiant Sword, the man who later became known as the Sword Emperor, was once the disciple of the Radiant Martial Sovereign, the very same old man Yunho stumbled upon." The scholar's eyes widened. Wait, the Sword Emperor lived over 300 years ago. Mad Dog leaned back. That's right. He belongs to a generation long forgotten. Back inside the cave, Yanho, already fed up. Listen, old man, I can't learn from you, so I'm leaving. The spirit narrowed his eyes. Did you really think I'd let you go so easily? With a wave of his hand, the cave entrance rumbled and sealed shut, a massive stone slab crashing into place. Yanho scowled. Seriously? The old man laughed smugly. What do you think? That door is solid stone, thicker than 10 men. With your pitiful strength, you'll never break it. But Yano just pulled out a dagger and started scraping at the wall. The old man blinked. What are you doing? Can't you see? Yano said without looking up. I'm digging a hole. What? Stone is stone. If I grind at it with metal long enough, it'll break down. Give me a year or two, I'll dig my way out. The old man stared in disbelief. You'd actually do that for 2 years? Yanho snorted. Hilarious, coming from someone who wanted me to train for 30 years. A year or two sounds like nothing compared to that. The old man's face twisted. This brat, he's insane, and I can't even kill him. Grinding his teeth, he forced a smile. Fine, just try learning from me. I promise, I won't disappoint you. I don't like you, old man. Humph. Then how about this? I'll allow you to leave after 20 years of training. Yanho groaned and turned over. Still too long. I might consider it if you said 3 years. The old man's hands shook in rage. This bastard, this rotten bastard. I had never even heard of a spirit as vivid and lifelike as the old man. Yonho, with a sly grin, thought maybe the technique wasn't something that could just be passed on with words. Maybe the old man was telling half the truth. If so, then perhaps he really had been the strongest master in the world. Yonho decided to use this chance to become a martial master himself. Finally, Yonho sighed and said, Fine, I'll give it a try. Back to Mad Dog. He explained that of course Yonho had no idea the old man was the Sword Emperor. It was truly unfortunate. The legendary master, at the end of his life, just happened to meet a lazy sloth. The old man roared, You bastard! Wake up! Yonho yawned. I'm tired. Don't you ever sleep? Oh wait, that's right. You're dead. But I'm not. Humans need to sleep, you know. And so Yano spent his days sleeping until evening and practicing each move once, maybe twice. The furious Sword Emperor bellowed, At this rate it'll take 50 years, not 5. Yonho groaned. Isn't there an easier way? It's already as easy as it gets, the old man snapped. Yonho muttered, If only he'd stop talking, at least he'd be less annoying. Baekmahan's spirit shook with rage, so close to a chi deviation. If only he still had a body, he would beat Yonho black and blue before teaching him. But there Yonho was, rolling lazily across the cave floor. Then Yonho suddenly asked, Hey, how'd you drop that giant stone gate earlier? Can't you use that power to move my body and teach me martial arts directly? The old man frowned. That? I only triggered a device I'd set up beforehand. But you don't have a body, Yonho argued. Doesn't matter. I pulled the string with psychic levitation, using chi alone. The Sword Emperor suddenly froze, then burst out laughing. Yonho tilted his head. What's wrong with you now? Finally gone crazy? No, the old man cackled. For 300 years I've been bound by this spirit, always thinking of what I couldn't do without a body. But thanks to you I realized I can still move things. Rocks, walls, whatever I wish. Yonho's face went pale. He stumbled back in terror as the old man's laughter echoed through the cave. And if I can move rocks? The old man smirked and said he could do something like this. Rocks lifted into the air with his chi. Stop! Wait, let's talk! Yonho shouted, but Baekmahan hurled the rocks straight at him. From that day on, their training continued without pause. Yonho spent his days drilling swordsmanship, and at night they argued and debated martial theory. Whenever Yonho slept, he practiced the unparalleled dream mythic arts the old man passed down. The sword became his life. And just like that, 5 years vanished in a flash. When he finally returned, the world itself would tremble. But one day before his departure, as Yonho dozed off, the old man called to him. Still groggy, Yonho muttered, I wanted to sleep a bit longer, before noticing something strange in the old man's expression. Sit cross-legged. Come here, Baekmahan said. Puzzled, Yonho obeyed. What's going on? The old man's voice was softer than usual. I spent my whole life chasing martial arts. I thought if I reached the end of the path, I would gain everything. So I abandoned everything else, my children, my family, my clan. In the end, I became a bitter old man no one cared to find. But I was wrong. Martial arts is a human pursuit, and without walking alongside others, the path is meaningless. It was you, Yonho, who made me realize that. Yonho frowned. Master, why are you talking like this? It sounds like we won't see each other again. The old man nodded. It's time. Panic filled Yonho. What are you saying? You think I'll fall for this? Baekmuhan smiled faintly. I've endured centuries without food or sleep, but that's not something even I can sustain forever. My power has reached its limit. It's time to say goodbye. Yonho clenched his fists. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? I could have gone out, found food, come back, and we could have kept training. The old man chuckled. No, if you had left this cave, I doubt you would have ever returned. The old man sighed softly. I understand how you feel, Yonho. Rising to his feet, he added, but I truly enjoyed the time we shared. I wanted to walk the world with you, to see its sights by your side, but this is fine too. He looked at Yonho with rare fondness. In his dimming eyes, it was as if he could already see Yonho crisscrossing the world. Go, the old man said. See the world, and keep those sights within you. If you do, everything else will follow. But remember, see people before you see the world. I spent my life looking far ahead and never saw what was right at my feet. Don't make the same mistake. His gaze grew distant. Even if I can't see you again, even if you're never great or outstanding, that's fine too. Master, Yonho's voice cracked. You can't leave yet. I still have so much to learn. Just stay a little longer, even a single day. The old man smiled faintly. His final words echoed, Be happy, Yonho. Tears streamed down Yonho's face. You old fool, you could have said something earlier. Back to the present, Yonho sat irritated, clutching a folded cloth. So that's why the old man left without warning. He shook it angrily. When did he even prepare all this? He should have just left peacefully instead of pulling this crap. What the hell is this? On the cloth was a message left by Baekmuhan. In short, the martial arts Yonho had crammed into 5 short years were still incomplete. Since Yonho would slack off once his master disappeared, the old man embedded a safeguard. The inner elixir Yonho had swallowed would push his martial arts forward. But it wasn't a free gift. It was bound to Yonho's spirit. If his training ever lagged behind the growth of the elixir, his own inner energy would collapse, and Yonho would die. Scowling, Yonho muttered, That damned old man. Always scheming something. Another line on the cloth read, Travel the world, see different things. The message ended with a lesson. When you see the world, you will feel. When you feel things, you will learn things. Don't be satisfied with becoming a small person, staying in a small place, see big things, and become a big person. So first go to ruling, find the world's greatest scholar and stay with him. Yonho is dumbfounded. While stretching, he says that he was going to go home, so don't worry too much, mother and father. While looking towards the cave, says that he have to do what he must. Then he bows in respect to his master. Standing up, he says that he won't be back and leaves. While we see him walking away, asking, Where's Rulin anyway? We see a presence forming in front of the cave. Master Baek is laughing very loudly, saying, If Yonho failed to keep up with his training, his body would wither away like a dried-up mummy, and he would die. What kind of martial arts works like that? But Baekmuhan couldn't allow him to waste away in some forgotten corner of the world. The world was too vast, too important, to let Yonho rot in obscurity. With a satisfied smile, Baekmuhan had declared it would be a waste of Yonho's talent otherwise. The scene shifts to Kaifeng. Here, we meet Zhang Al, branch leader of the beggar sect. Spotting Yonho, Zhang Al frowned. Who is this mummy? Yonho replied calmly. I came here to ask something. Money? Zhang Al asked. Do I need to pay? Of course. Nothing in this world is free. Zhang Al studied him. His voice sounded like that of a young man barely in his 20s, yet his face looked closer to 50. In all his years, Zhang Al had never seen such a beggar. He scratched his head. Honestly, I'd help you for free since we're in the same trade, but rules are rules. Same trade? Yonho asked. Yes, Zhang Al smirked. We're both beggars. Yonho blinked. How do I look like a beggar? Zhang Al says, he is obviously a beggar. Anyways, if he has no money, Jang Al can't give him any information, so he should leave and come back with some money after doing some begging. To which Wai Yanho retorts, why would he beg when he is not a beggar? Jang Al replies with a straight face that once you beg, you are a beggar. And he looks like he could make money just by putting a basket in front of where he sits. So why is he wasting his talents? Jang Al stops mid-sentence as if he just realized something. He stands up, grabbing both of Yono's hands, asks him if he wants to work for him. Yono, surprised, asks, with what?
The scene cuts. Suddenly, a mountain of silver sits piled before Jang Al. His eyes lit up. Half a year of branch expenses in half a day, the god of wealth himself has come. Laughing, he asked what Yono wanted. Yono requested a list, the names, residences, and specialties of renowned scholars and blacksmiths. Jang Al, sticking to his word, agreed but told him to return in 7 days. Instead, Yono sprawled out on the spot. I've got nowhere to go and nothing to do. I'll just stay here. At first, Jang Al waved it off. Fine. But after a few days he came to deeply regret those words. One of his men came rushing in, panicked. Leader, trouble, Jang Al scowled. What trouble could beggars possibly have? The beggar gasped. At this rate, we're all going to starve to death. Dragging him outside, the man showed him the source. Jang Al's eyes widened. A passerby sneered at the sight. If you're going to be beggars, at least be beggars on that level.
The beggar is filthy. From the carriers, Jang Al orders them to bring cold water from the damned mountains. Lying face down, Yonho mutters, nice, how nice, which only fuels Jang Al's rage. He fumes, thinking, I'm a branch leader of the beggar sect. Yet here I am, acting like a servant for this useless beggar. Time drags on, and Jang Al curses under his breath. When's the information Yonho asked for going to arrive? At this rate, we'll all starve before it does. Just then, one of the beggars rushes in, beaming. The information's here, he shouts. Hearing this, Jang Al brightens too. They hand over the documents, and Yonho scans them before scoffing. Is this all? You really expect to sell trash like this for money? Confused, Jang Al snatches the papers back and flips through them. His face darkens. Are those bastards trying to get us killed? This is barely half of what he asked for. He grits his teeth, realizing something has to be done. Yano asks dryly, so the information's incomplete because I didn't pay enough? Without answering, Jang Al drags him elsewhere to get what they need. They both reach the house sect. Standing before the house sect leader, Gui Nang Nang, she says that it's rare to see a fox dog here. Jang Al bows and greets the branch leader. Wiyano chuckles and says, Jang Al, is it your nickname, you little bitch? Jang Al continues his conversation, saying that he needs information, while Yano playfully calls him bitch. To this she asks with surprise why the branch leader has come to house sect to ask for information, knowing all too well that they are rivals. Jang Al says that he is not there for the beggar sect. He has brought a customer, while Yonho is still mocking him. Gui Nang Nang, with a puzzled face, asks if he is joking or trying to insult them, and tells him that they don't have any information to sell to the beggar sect. Yano finally cuts in, saying that he is not from the beggar sect. Gui Nang Nang says that if they keep insulting them like this, she will have to take action. Their pride won't allow it, and turns to leave. Yonho asks her if house sect is not an information organization. Yonho then smirks and says that she doesn't even know if he is from the beggar sect or not, and she doesn't even have the basics down. Anger is evident on her face. She turns around and asks her guard who Yano is. Her guard replies that he doesn't know, but he is not from the beggar sect. Yano shrugs and says that now she can sell information to him. To which she says no, she doesn't want to, and tells them to get out. Yonho just laughs and says that she doesn't have a business mindset. He is offering her money, and she is still refusing. He thinks that it is not long until the house sect is done for. She warns them to watch their mouths if they don't want to have their limbs cut off. Yonho asks her if he is wrong calling her old lady. She fumes in anger, asks if he is trying to insult them, and tells her guard to teach Yonho a lesson. The guard moves towards Yonho with great speed. Jang Al tries to protect Yonho, but Yonho pushes him aside and slams the guard to the ground. Everyone is shocked. Yonho says sorry, it's his habit to counterattack if someone tries to attack him. Jang Al knew that Yonho had learned martial arts, but he didn't expect him to be that strong. Yano scratches his head, saying that this is all that old man's fault. Gui Nang Nang, with a polite gesture, says that she didn't know that he was such a prestigious customer. To which Yano asks, "What is she talking about? She has been talking to him this entire time." Gui Nang Nang, with a sharp look in her eyes, says that anyways, it doesn't seem like they are here with any good intentions. Zhang Al says that they are not here to fight. There was just some information that the beggar sect couldn't find, so he came there to ask for help. She asks if he knows that it is akin to bringing a tiger into a rabbit's den and asking for just some fur. She says that she will believe him, but giving him information is a separate matter. Yano has hurt her guard, so she needs compensation for that. She reminds them of the rules in the unorthodox world and calls for the 4 shadows. 4 people come out of hiding. Yonho sighs and says that everyone has a fancy way of making an entrance in this place. With a confident look, Gui says that she doesn't know their purpose for coming, but they won't leave in one piece. Yono says that he already told her that it was a mistake. He just hit him lightly because he tried to attack him. To which Gui replies that the ways of the unorthodox are simple. An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. Yonho says that it all sounds like some loan shark bullshit, while Zhang Al tells Yonho to stop provoking her. Gui says that they will only take a bit of flesh from his face. Yonho replies that he doesn't have any flesh in his face because he hasn't been able to eat properly these days. Ginengneng grows furious with every remark Yonho makes and sends the assassins to kill Yonho. They all try to attack Yonho while he stands scratching his head. First they wanted some flesh, and now they want to kill him. The interest is just piling up. With just one attack, Yonho crushes all the assassins and orders everyone not to move because he doesn't want to kill anybody. Gui is shocked by his power. Yonho tells them that his master once said, if someone is willing to attack once, they will be willing to attack again, and he doesn't want to let that happen. He adds that he doesn't like that old man, but he has never said anything wrong. Fear visible in her eyes, Gui thinks that she messed with the wrong person. If she doesn't handle this correctly, the entire branch of the house sect will meet its downfall. She asks Yonho what he wants. Yonho answers, information. Gui asks what kind of information. Zhang Al shows her the papers and hopes that she can fill in the empty spots. Gui looks at the paper and thinks that Zhang Al brought such a monster to the house sect only because he wasn't able to resolve such a small matter. Gui says that it is nothing difficult, she just needs time, and tells them to wait. With a furious expression, she tells Zhang Al to go see her. Inside, Yonho, clutching his stomach and laughing uncontrollably, says to Zhang Al that his face looks like a dumpling. Did she beat him up? Zhang Al, with a swollen face, asks Yonho to shut up. Yonho mocks Zhang Al, saying that the beggar sect is nothing, seeing that its members get beat up by the house sect. Zhang Al retorts, asking if that woman looks normal to him. She's the daughter of the house sect leader and ate miracle pills like meals. How could he beat her? He appears behind Zhang Al and says that she has brought the information. While Zhang Al shrinks in fear, Yonho thanks her. All of them sit at a table. She says that they have their own rules. Zhang Al tells Yonho that she's talking about the fees. Yonho asks, how much? She says 5 nyang. Yonho presents 5 copper nyang. Then Zhang Al tells him that it's silver nyang. Yonho is shocked and asks why it's so expensive, to which Gui tells him that the info was highly classified, so it's pricey. Yonho stands and starts to walk away. Zhang Al asks him where he's going. Yonho replies that he has to go and earn 5 silver nyang. Zhang Al stops him, saying that he brought him there for a reason. He then takes out 5 silver nyang, a bit hesitant, not willing to give all his savings, and shouts in frustration that he had to use up all his hidden savings because of Yonho. Yonho looks at the paper and says that it's really thorough, even better than the info the beggar sect got. It seems like they're on a whole different level. Yonho tells Gui that he wants to send a letter to Guangdong and asks if it will be expensive. Gui says that it will be, but she'll do it for free if Yonho answers some of her questions. She asks for his name and age. He replies, Yonho, age 17. Zhang Al is surprised, realizing that Yonho is younger than him. Gui ponders Yonho's name for a bit, then asks if he is the second son of Guangdong's Wei clan. Yanho, with a surprised tone, asks if she knows him. She answers that of course she does. Guangdong's Wei clan requested them to find him. Zhang Al asks, if he is from the Wei clan, then is he Sanho's younger brother? Yanho asks if he knows his older brother. Zhang Al says of course, because they are friends. Gui tells him that the letter will take 10 days to arrive. Yanho says that it's alright, they waited for 5 years, 10 more days won't hurt. Gui gives him a red cloth and tells him that if he ties it somewhere, an informant will find him. Thinking that creating a relationship with Yanho who can take down the 4 swords will be beneficial, she smirks inwardly. Yanho asks if it is for free, to which she says no. Yanho replies that in that case, it's useless. Gui compromises by making the next piece of information free, but only for Yanho. Zhang Al and Yanho leave the house sect, and Zhang Al is feeling down because he spent all his money. Yanho tells him that money comes and money goes. A beggar shouldn't be so greedy, he should just tap into his beggar roots. Zhang Al clenches his fist in anger, thinking that he can't even beat Yanho. Then he brushes it off, saying that Yanho got the information he wanted, so they won't see each other anymore. Yanho places his hand on Zhang Al's shoulder and says, "Wait, there's a problem." Zhang Al asks in frustration, "What is it now?" Yanho says with a cheerful smile that he doesn't have any money. Zhang Al fumes with anger. Back at the house sect, Guinangnang calls for Gongmu and tells him to send a letter to the clan, informing them that the second son of the Wei clan has returned as a martial master. The scene shifts to the Great Hanlim Institute in Songlin. Moon Yuhuan, the 3rd Grand Scholar, is enjoying tea. His daughter comes to him, saying that a guest is here for him. This is Moon Unji, the daughter of Moon Yuhuan. Yuhuan says that he doesn't have anything on the schedule today. Moon Yunji replies that the guest said he wanted to play a game of Go with him. Hearing the name of Go, Yuan gets excited. Moon Yunji brings Yanho inside. Yanho says that he hopes he's not intruding. Yuan replies, "Of course not. It's always nice to have guests," and asks if he wanted to play Go, pointing to the table. Yanho says that it's the only thing he knows how to play. Both of them sit at the table. Yuan says that he will play white, so Yanho should go first. Yanho says that he will begin and takes a piece from the bowl. Yuan, seeing Yanho, thinks that he shouldn't expect much from him. He seems like someone who came for a free meal, so he should just help him out after the match. Yanho places the piece on the board. Yuan thinks that at least he's not a beginner. The game continues, and Yuan realizes that Yanho is very fast. It's rare to see someone this experienced at such a young age. Then Yuan stops, thinking, what the hell is going on? He's not just fast, he's a war demon. Yanho mocks him, asking if he isn't going to play. Yuan thinks that it's amazing. Yanho's playing style is like an angry ocean wave. He is like a person crazed for battle, attacking boldly, even if a fight is not necessary. If he sees even a slight opening, he charges like a starving demon and chomps down. Yuan pays his respect, saying that it was a good game and that he has a unique playstyle. Yanho thanks him and says that it's all because of the bullying he endured from his master. Yuan asks if he had a master. Yanho, reminiscing about the past, says that he did, a very strict old man. Yanho asks if it's not too much, but he would like to stay for a bit. His master told him to stay in Rulin for a while. Yuan agrees to help Yanho, saying that he will prepare a room for him so he can stay as long as he wants. He tells Moon Unji to prepare a room for him and guide him to the bath as well. The scene shifts to Yanho taking a bath. He thinks that it feels so nice. It's as if he is almost going to cry. This is that damned old man's fault. Moon Unji is waiting outside the bath for Yanho, sulking. She doesn't get why her father accepted a guest like him. Yanho steps outside the bath. Unji, surprised, lets out a scream. She says that she thought he was a ghost. Handing him a towel, she tells him to cover up. Yanho takes the towel, ties it around his waist, and asks if it's good enough. Moon Unji, surprised by Yanho's look, asks him who he is. A few days later, Moon Unji requests her father to say something to Yanho, saying that he doesn't leave his room all day, he sleeps all day. If he is not eating, that's what he's been doing all week. Yuan looks at his daughter and says that he forgot to ask for his name. Unji says that he once said sloth is a sin and one should always keep themselves busy, so why is he not saying anything about Yonho being lazy? Yuan calls Unji by name and says that he likes Go and that she can learn a lot about an opponent when playing Go. You can hide your facial expression and watch your words, but you can't hide when playing Go. A person who is impatient cannot play patiently, and those who are not patient cannot learn to enjoy battle. You can tell how someone has lived their life along with their personality. His playstyle is rushed and rough. He is definitely not a lazy person. Yuan is sure that Yonho has lived a very rough life, so one should not chase out a bird that has come under the roof to avoid the rain. He tells her to let him rest. Unji, standing behind him, listens carefully and says, "All right." Inside Yonho's room, Unji sees Yonho sleeping. She thinks that her father has been deceived. There is no way that this lazy person is like her father described, and she is going to kick him out. Unji tells Yonho to get up. Yonho, still half asleep, asks, "Why?" Unji forcefully pulls his blanket off and tells him to get up because the sun is up. Yonho sits up, scratching his head, and asks Unji to tell him when the sun sets. Unji, being annoyed, asks Yonho, "What the hell is wrong with you? Everyone studies here, so why do you do nothing and sleep all week?" Yonho answers, "They want to study, so they study. I want to sleep, so I sleep. What's the problem?" Unji tells him to shut up and says that she can't stand watching him just roll around without even taking a bath. "Who do you think washes your bed sheets? You need to at least do something to pay for your food. We can feed people who study, but we don't have enough to feed someone who just lazes around." Yonho, sitting on the floor, says, "But your father said." Unji cuts him off, saying that she is the one in charge of the money. Then Yonho, with a blank face, asks, "Then what should I do?" She takes Yonho to the laundry space and tells him to do the laundry, saying that it's not much. Seeing the big pile of laundry, Yonho asks if it will cover his food, saying, "Someone will think you're putting gold flakes in my rice." Unji tells him to make sure that it's clean, otherwise she'll make him wash them again. She smirks, thinking that he won't be able to finish it all today. Unji is stunned. In just 2 hours, everything is shiny and clean. She thinks, how the hell did he do that? Meanwhile, Yonho is sleeping on the roof. Unji clenches her fist, thinking that she can't let him just laze around again. This time, it's cutting wood. She tells him that she'll give him a week and asks if he can do it. Yonho asks if he has to do it all. Unji laughs, thinking that he'll run away after a day. When she comes back, everything is done and Yonho is sleeping on the logs. Unji thinks that it's impossible. It should take 10 people 10 days to finish. The same happens with dishwashing and gardening. Unji is getting more frustrated by the minute, thinking, how is he so capable? Mad Dog states, that is when Yonho's rule in life began. But it was a mistake to take him in. He should never have let that guy into his house. The scholar asks why. Mad Dog replies, because that guy brings disaster wherever he goes. It may not be intended, but wherever he goes, trouble follows. The scholar asks Mad Dog what happened. The story continues with Yonho playing Go. Yonho asks himself, how did it come to this? I thought it would be occasional. Then we see a large crowd in front of the scholar hall. Someone says that they must have received it. Someone else says, he must be very good. I wonder how unique his playstyle is. Another replies, I was curious too, so I came in a hurry. Yonho thinks that bringing people here to play with him is cheating. We see that some time ago, Yuan wrote an incomprehensible poem to call people to play with Yonho. Yonho is clearly bored as another one of his opponents loses. Yonho asks for the next person. People think that a master of Go has appeared in the Hanlim Institute. The matches continue. Yonho's opponents can't understand what kind of move he made. They think it's practically suicide, or perhaps a mistake. But the person sitting in front of him is the genius of Hanlim. He suspects it must be a trap, so he makes another move. On the other hand, Yonho curses himself, saying, why did I back down there? I did that so that I could lose. He thinks that if he doesn't lose, he will be playing forever. But the opponent bows and admits his defeat. Yonho, while crying, forces a smile and hopes that someone will please take the bait. Tired, Yonho returns to his room and states, I kept making suicidal moves to lose, but they just scared off my opponents instead. He grabs his head in frustration, thinking that at this rate, more people will come to play with him, while groaning from back pain. He mutters that he'd rather do laundry. Just then, Yano hears someone quarreling. He looks down the corridor and sees Nok Mukbung asking Moon Eunji if she really doesn't want to marry him. Moon Eunji, arms crossed, replies firmly, "Absolutely not." Nok Mukbung warns her that she will regret it. He tells her to think it through again, saying that he will never let go of something he wants. "I'm just offering now, but if you keep refusing, it won't be an offer next time. And the great Han Lim will fall because of you." Eunji, with firm resolve, replies, "He can do whatever he wants, but that great Han Lim won't fall that easily." Nok Mukbung counters, "Sure, but I can make it happen, and you know that." Eunji, hearing the threat, grows angry and shouts, "I hate that about you. Do you think everything will just work out for you?" Nok Mukbung tells her, "It's not impossible." Eunji shouts back, "I will never marry you, so it is impossible." She turns and starts to walk away, saying goodbye. But Mukbung grabs her hand. Eunji screams in pain, asking him to let go. Mukbung tells her coldly, "It is in your best interest not to anger me." Getting even closer, he says, "Does she think that she can act boldly, even if he tries to take her right now?" Eunji's whole body is shaking, fear evident in her eyes. Just then, Yeonho cuts in, saying that it's not something he should be saying in someone else's house. Eunji breaks off from Mukbung, and walking towards Yeonho, asks him if he has already finished the laundry and firewood. Yeonho tells her that he was playing Go until now and asks her what she is talking about, but he sees her trembling hand. Then he takes a ribbon from her, asking her to let him borrow it. Yeonho ties his hair with it and walks towards Mukbung. Mukbung asks Yeonho if it isn't rude to listen to others' conversations. Yeonho says sorry that he doesn't really know his manners, but that Mukbung shouldn't be talking about manners. Standing face to face with Mukbung, Yeonho asks, "Do people who care about manners usually act like you do?" Mukbung asks Yeonho if he is the genius of Han Lim. Yeonho thanks him for recognizing him but says he doesn't know who Mukbung is. Just when Mukbung starts introducing himself, Yeonho cuts him off, saying that it's fine and that he doesn't care anyway. Hearing that, Mukbung gets furious and tells Yeonho that he should have just continued playing Go instead of getting in his way. Yeonho smirks and says that it's a shame, but he is really good at getting in people's way. Mukbung, gritting his teeth in anger, curses Yeonho. Just then, a crowd of people passes by, greeting both Yeonho and Mukbung, saying that they should play again tomorrow. Mukbung, seeing the crowd, backs off, telling Eunji not to forget that if she doesn't come running into his arms in 3 days, then he will do things his way. Yeonho asks Eunji who he was. She tells him that he is Nok Mukbung, the adopted son of a palace attendant who has a lot of power. Yeonho asks Eunji what he was talking about. Eunji tells him that he wants her to marry him. Yeonho asks her, "What's the problem?" Then he is from a good family and he is also determined. She asks Yeonho if he wants to die. Eunji tells him that he doesn't want to marry her because Mukbung likes her. He just wants to use her because her father has a really good network in ruling. He can even be a politician, but he lives like this because he has no interest in civil service. Yeonho makes fun of her, saying that it must be because of Go, to which Eunji replies, "No. It's because the eunuchs of the imperial palace are very wary of her father." Yeonho asks, "Isn't her father just an owner of an institute? So why would the eunuchs be wary of her father?" Eunji answers Yeonho that this is not just any institute. They are not affiliated with any other organization, so getting to this point was very hard. The reason the eunuchs are in power despite being corrupt and useless is that the forces haven't united to drive them out. But if her father were able to control the forces of Rulin, then the eunuchs would be in danger. Eunji says, yes. That's why Mukbung's father is very desperate to stop her father from becoming an official. One way of doing that is a marriage between Mukbung and her. We see Mukbung kneeling on the ground apologizing to his father. He says that a person called the genius of the Hanlim appeared, so it might be a little hard to continue with the plan. Then we are introduced to the head of the eunuchs, Nokgi, Mukbung's father. He says, the genius of Hanlim, someone who plays Go all day. Mukbung tells his father that he is not the problem, but there are people from all over the nation coming to play Go with him. There are too many eyes watching, so it would be bad if he were to do something. Nakgi says that he understands why he is so hesitant, but this mission is not for his sake. Hearing that, Mukpung is confused and sweating in fear. His father states that taking over the palace is a mission given by the one and only, so failing the mission is not an option for both him and Mukpung. Nakgi says that he is more afraid of disappointing him than of death, and asks Mukpung if he understands, to which Mukpung replies that he is well aware. Nakgi advises Mukpung that sometimes violence is necessary and tells him to use the crowd to his advantage and kill them all, including the genius of Hanlim. The scene shifts to the Hanlim Institute in the morning. The royal head inspector, Li Wangya, the brother of the emperor, asks if Yuan is still not interested in a government position. Yuan says that he is sorry, but no, he is not. The head inspector asks him why he can't see that he needs to be at the center maintaining balance to stop Nakgi. Yuan just stays silent. The inspector says that their movements have grown suspicious lately. There is instability in the military as well as among the scholar officials. Nakgi is getting into their heads. The head inspector says that he knows Yuan wants to ask why a man who cannot have children wants to start a revolution. Yuan replies, yes. The head inspector says he thinks there is another master whom Nakgi serves. The terror of the political fight between the eunuchs is beyond imagination, and Nakgi has managed to get past them all. Those who opposed him died of accidents, and those who did not died of diseases. It's strange, as if someone was paving a path for him. Yuan says that it might be a coincidence. Li Wangya replies that he thought the same until recently. But after watching him, he got the thought that there might be someone helping Nakgi behind the scenes. That's why he needs Yuan. They need to unite against Nakgi. Yuan says that he will think about it. Changing the topic, the inspector asks Yuan about what kind of person the new genius he has taken in is. Yuan gets excited and says that he is amazing and feels that he is hiding his true potential. The head inspector asks when he can meet him, since he is curious. Yuan tells him that Unji has already gone to pick him up. Just then, Unji calls her father saying that they are here. Yuan tells them to come in. Yanho, completely soaked, asks if he was called. Yuan apologizes for calling him and asks if he slept well. Yanho answers that he did, only if someone didn't pour cold water on his face while he was sleeping. Yuan says that he is glad that he slept well and introduces him to the royal head inspector. Yanho bows and says that there seems to be a grand reason behind their visit. Li Wangya says, "What reason could there be? I want to play Go." Yanho replies that he can't play. Li Wangya, surprised by his reply, asks if he hasn't been playing Go with people coming by. Yanho says that he is not saying that he won't play, but there is an order to things. While fixing his clothes, he explains that there are people who came before him, so he should wait his turn. Li Wangya laughs and says that he can resolve that and ask the others for their understanding. Yanho says, "But that's not solving anything." Li Wangya seems to have a high social status, so people would be forced into going along with whatever he says without a choice, not because they agree with you or understand. Yanho adds that he values promises and rules. Li Wangya thinks that Yanho seems firmer in his beliefs than he expected. This is going to be difficult. He asks Yanho if he can't do something about it. Yanho doesn't budge and says that he needs to wait his turn. Unji intervenes, saying that she thinks she can resolve this problem. Yuan looks at her with confusion while the old man is still struggling with Yanho. Unji puts her hand on Yanho's shoulder and tells him that if he plays this game, she will cancel all the Go matches he needs to play today. Yanho, a bit hesitant, says that it's tempting, but what if she also cancels tomorrow's matches? Unji denies and tells Yanho not to try to bargain for any more if he wants to rest today, and asks him to make his choice. Yanho hurriedly sits at the table to play Go. Li Wangya looks at Yuan side-eyed, who is also silent. Li Wangya thinks that this is the worst. He is not a man of his words. He wants to leave, but decides that he better see it through and see what kind of person Yanho is as the game begins. After the game ends, Li Wangya is sitting quietly at the table. Yuan asks him if he didn't enjoy the game with him. Li Wangya thinks back to the game. Yano has such a violent and quick style of play. One wouldn't see such a play even on a battlefield. He wonders what kind of life Yonho has lived. But he is not the right one. The laziness and the violence are not what he wants. He answers Yuan that it was a waste of time and that he doesn't understand why Yuan values him so much. Yuan answers that it's because he saw something. During one of his games, he made a prophylactic move. Thinking the game was over, he took his eyes off the board. What he saw was that Yano had fallen into a trance. Li Wangya asks if he saw correctly, to which Yuan replies that he is sure. Li Wangya laughs and says that he doesn't intend to take him either way. Yuan says, "Is that so?" Li Wangya says that he wasted his time but got to see Yuan, so it wasn't a total waste of time and he'd better leave early tomorrow. Yuan asks if he is that busy. Li Wangya, looking at the night sky, says, "What a shame, this is so perfect." We see a man with a mask telling Mukpeng that the preparations are complete. Mukpeng says, "All right," and tells them to get it done quickly. All of them answer, "Yes, sir," in unison and leave. The assassins attack the Hanlim Institute at night. A guard notices them, but soon after, he is dead. The assassins kill all the guards and take all the scholars as hostages. Mukpeng appears and reminds them that they should have listened when he was being nice, and orders the assassins to make the Great Hanlim Institute a prison from which even a rat cannot escape, while Yonho is still fast asleep. Mukpeng, with a sinister smile, says that today he will teach that bitch a lesson. All the residents of the Hanlim Institute have been taken hostage. Yuan asks Mukpeng what the meaning of this is. Mukpeng reveals that they have received information that there has been suspicious activity in the Great Hanlim Institute. They have heard that all kinds of high-ranking authority people have been visiting recently. Yuan retorts, "How is that suspicious at all?" Mukpeng asks, "What reason could there be for people with both political and martial power to gather? But rumors can be easily made up." Then he asks the assassin, "Where is Yonho?" The assassin informs him that there are no more people in the institute. Mukpeng smirks, hearing that he ran off, saying that he must have left earlier, because it would be impossible to run away after they got there. Turning to the hostages, Mukpeng says that all of them will be freed if they are innocent. He will free them and apologize if he doesn't find anything suspicious. Just then, an assassin comes with a book in his hands, saying that he found it. He tells Mukpeng that it is a book of agreements of people who were plotting a revolt. Yuan, terrified, says that they have never done such a thing. Mukpeng shows them the book and says that they have proof right here. Yuan realizes that he has come to frame them from the beginning, and now they are done for. Other scholars of the Hanlim, overwhelmed with fear, say that they are innocent. They didn't come there to take part in such activities. Then the head inspector comes forward, saying, "What an interesting incident." Mukpeng, surprised by his presence, calls him by his name. Li Wangya gets furious and demands that he calls him the royal head inspector. Mukpeng bows and says that he wouldn't have done this if he knew that he was here. Li Wangya, with a calm voice, says that he is not one to hold grudges, and tells him to free them. Mukpeng says that before that, he would like to ask him one question, and that is, why did he plan this revolt? Mukpeng, laughing sinisterly, asks Li Wangya if he really thought that he wouldn't know that he was here. Li Wangya retaliates, asking, "What are you talking about?" Two men hold Li Wangya down, while Mukpeng continues, saying that there is always a central figure to the revolt, and he doesn't think that it's some scholar. It would make sense that it's him, a family member of the emperor. In rage, Li Wangya tells Mukpeng that his arrogance knows no bounds. How dare he frame them? Does he think that he can avoid the consequences of his actions? I will never let him get away with this. Mukpeng tells Li Wangya that he is misunderstanding something. He will never get to see the emperor again, because the punishment for a revolution is immediate execution. They will all die here. Li Wangya says that heaven won't forgive him for this, while Mukpeng just ignores him and, taking out the book, says that there is someone who needs to die first, and that's Moon Unji. Moon Unji, tied up, sits calmly with a blank expression. Mukpeng, getting close to her, says that he told her that he would do things his way, and thanks to her rejection, everyone's going to die. She screams in disgust that she would rather die than marry someone like him. Mukpung touches her face and tells her not to worry because he won't kill her. He will inflict so much pain that she would think that death is a better outcome. Unji asks him if he thinks she would just let that happen. She would rather die than be humiliated by him. She sticks her tongue out, ready to bite and die. Mukpung says that if she kills herself, then her father will be the one to suffer the torment. If he kills himself, then the rest of the people here will suffer the torment. Grabbing her by the hair, he asks her to kill herself, saying that he wouldn't mind having more people to entertain him. Yuan, seeing this, calls to her, screaming. She hopes that someone will come to help. Just then, she opens her eyes and sees something, and it leaves her speechless and disgusted. It's our boy Yanho, trying to sneak around. He climbs the wall, and just when he is about to get out, Inji calls out his name. He looks back as if a kid got caught eating snacks from the fridge. Sitting on the wall, he laughs awkwardly. Inji asks him what he is doing. Yano asks if she can't tell he is trying to book it. She asks if he is joking. He asks frantically, what's wrong with saying that he is booking it, when he is? Or maybe he should be saying that he is excusing himself. Unji says that he should be helping them. Yano says that it is hard enough to keep himself alive. Annoyance overflowing from her face, she says that he learned martial arts. He can help. Yano brushes her off, saying that she is overestimating his skills. The best thing for him would be to act as if he didn't see anything. Yano tells Mukpung that he didn't see anything, so he should keep doing what he was doing. Everyone looks at Yanho, thinking, what a piece of shit. Mukpung tells Yanho to stop, saying that he is already involved in the revolt, and the entire world will be after him. Yano says that he can't be sure of that. Mukpung calls Yano a fool and says that the world is big, but it won't be hard to find him. Yano says, then you should look for me later. Mukpung tells the assassins to get him. An assassin lunges at Yanho, sword in hand. Just then, Unji tells Yanho to run. Hearing that, Yanho smiles softly. While the assassin is charging at him, he asks, she was telling me to help earlier, and now she is telling me to run. So what should I do? Just as the assassin is about to hit him, he moves behind him, leaving an afterimage. The assassin, seeing this, is surprised. Yano hits the assassin with his elbow, sending him crashing to the ground. Unji watches in awe, surprised by what just happened. Yano, standing on the wall, tells her that she is very strange. Everyone is shocked seeing his skills. Mukpung, surprised, mocks Yanho, saying that he had some skills after all. Yanho thanks him for the compliment. Mukpung, pissed, says that it wasn't meant as a compliment. Mukpung calls the leader of the assassin squad and asks how long he has to endure the humiliation. The leader apologizes and says that he will take care of it now. Mukpung tells the leader not to kill Yanho so that he could rip him apart with his own hands. The leader of the assassins moves towards Yanho, but Yano asks him to wait for a second because he doesn't have his sword with him. If you wait here for a moment, I'll go fetch it from my room, he says. The assassin calls him crazy. Yano points out that he is already old enough, and yet when a younger guy says that he's going to grab a sword, he has a problem with it. The assassin tells him to shut up. Yanho thinks to himself that the world wasn't like this 5 years ago, so how did it get so harsh in the meantime? He sees a broom lying on the ground. Yano picks it up. The assassin asks him, "What are you doing?" Yano answers, "Since you won't let me get my sword, I'll just use this." The assassin, displeased, asks Yanho if he is mocking him. Yano asks why the assassin is angry at him. He can still allow him to grab his sword. The assassin, approaching Yanho carefully, says that he won't kill him, but he will make Yanho feel so much pain that he would wish for death. Even if he cries, Yanho, impatient, cuts him off, asking, "Can we start already? I just woke up, and I'm still sleepy." The assassin, furious at Yano's remarks, rushes at him. Just as he is about to hit Yanho, Yano hits him in the face with the broom, shattering his mask. The assassin falls back from the blow and faints. Everyone looks at Yano in amazement. Yano, holding the broom in his hand, says, "The trash is best cleaned with a broom." When the assassin comes back to his senses, sitting up, he grabs his head, unable to understand what happened. Yonho, holding the broom to him, says to be glad that it ended with just that. "If it were my master, you would have been dead." The assassin gets angry and curses Yonho. to which Yonho starts hitting him with the broom, saying that he was explaining it nicely. The assassin stands, covering his face with both hands, thinking that it's too fast. He moves back to create some distance from Yonho. With his hand in his pocket, he doesn't want to admit it, but he has to. Yonho isn't some loudmouth. Taking out a poisoned dagger, he thinks that in a real fight, the strong don't always win, and today he will make Yonho realize that. Seeing the poisoned dagger, Yonho asks if he doesn't think it's dirty to use that. The assassin, holding the dagger in his hand, says that Yonho can blame all he wants, but Yonho tells him that it won't work on him. The assassin asks if Yonho is saying that he is immune to all poisons. Yonho answers, "Of course not. I didn't boil and eat ginseng roots or anything. Of course poisons work on me. It's not that I'm immune, more like." He appears in front of the assassin in an instant and hits his hand, throwing the dagger away. The assassin, seeing Yonho, thinks that he must block it, but Yonho hits him in the face repeatedly. The assassin, battered and bruised, falls to the ground, and Yonho stands on top of him. Everyone looks at Yonho in disbelief. Yonho says, "My master always says that if the enemy is preparing something grand, don't wait, just knock them down." Sweat dripping down his face, Mukpung thinks that it's impossible to defeat Hukil, the head of the dark force which his father built for years. Yonho, standing calmly with his hands behind his back, says that if he backs down now, they'll both be better off. Mukpung starts clapping with a bright smile, saying that to display such martial prowess at his age is truly excellent. Yonho, flustered while scratching his head, says that he thinks so. Unji asks Yonho why he is pleased about that. Yonho says that Mukpung is praising him, to which Unji curses him back. Mukpung intervenes, saying that it was unfortunate that the leader of the Dark Force wasn't able to take him down, but meeting a martial artist makes it worth it. He asks Yonho if he would like to work for him. Unji screams from behind, asking what he is scheming. Mukpung says to Yonho that if he works for him, then he will give him wealth and power great enough to hold the world in his hands. Yonho, with an expressionless face, says that anyone with a sense of honor would never fall for such words. Unji looks at him with admiration, but Yonho says that he will, and asks for some numbers. Unji, disappointed beyond belief, curses Yonho to die. Li Wangya, furious by Yonho's behavior, asks him if he means power and wealth are that important. Yonho replies that they are, and Mukpung says the same. Moon Unji tells Li Wangya that they definitely are. Then Li Wangya tells Yonho that if he wants wealth and power, then he will give it to him. Mukpung intervenes by asking Yonho what he thinks this old man can give him. He may be the brother of the emperor, but he already relinquished everything. He could only give him a minor post in the inspectorate, but his father can give him wealth and power that everyone would envy. Yonho says to Li Wangya that it does seem that he is a bit ahead. Li Wangya is speechless. Yuan asks, how can aiding a traitor in rebellion and exposing a true rebellion be the same thing? Did his master not teach him about right conduct? He asks Yonho what his master told him to do in situations like these. Yuan thinks that since Yonho mentions his master so often, he must treat his words as law. Surely his master couldn't have taught him something wrong. It must be something helpful to them. Yonho says that his master said that he should side with whichever side pays. Both the old men are baffled by Yonho's words. Yonho tells them that his master said that morality and virtue only give you an empty name. They don't feed you. So don't bother living righteously. Just grab as much as you can when you can. Yuan looks like he is about to faint, thinking, what kind of master says that? Mukpung agrees, saying, what good are morality and virtue? His father values those who help him, and asks Yonho if he will work for his father. Yonho is surprised hearing that he has to work. Unji, seeing the chance, says that they won't make him work, and promises him top-class meals and rest for a lifetime. Mukpung intervenes, saying that he made a mistake. He won't have to work if he doesn't want to, and he will also get the promised rewards. Yonho turns to him and asks, really? Yonho flatters Mukpung, saying that he is really generous, a real man. Both laugh like brothers. On the other hand, everyone else is fuming with anger, thinking that it's all bullshit. Yonho asks Mukpung what he needs him to do. Mukpung replies that first he needs to kill everyone in front of him. They are all rebels, It's only right that he kills them. Eunji says that it's nonsense. Yonho asks them then why they plotted treason. Eunji says that they never plotted treason, he made it all up and they actually believed him. Yonho says that killing them seems a bit wrong and tells Mukpung that he has never killed anyone before. Then Mukpung tells Yonho to stand aside and asks for his sword to be brought. Mukpung moves forward, saying that he didn't want to soil his hands, but for the nation, there must be no hesitation. Yu Huan, desperate, asks Mukpung to stop, saying that he too learned morality and righteousness. How can a servant of the state commit such treachery? Mukpung, holding his sword above his head, says that what he is doing now is loyalty. Yu Huan closes his eyes in fear of the attack coming and asks his daughter for forgiveness. Just then Yonho says, "That's far enough, don't you think?" Yonho is holding the blade of Mukpung's sword with his fingers. Mukpung asks if he has forgotten everything that they spoke of. Yonho answers that he hasn't, but he will only play along this far. Both hands behind his head, Yonho asks, "Do you know what is essential for living a lazy life? Never create trouble that nags at you." In a flashback, Yonho reveals that once he broke an inkstone his father cherished. And when he was away of all times, his father didn't return for 3 days, and those 3 days waiting was torture for him. When he returned, he beat him within an inch of his life, but after that, he could rest easy. Li Wangya remarks that it would have been better if he died back then, and Eunji nods in agreement. Yonho contemplates that his master also said never forget a grudge, but never forget kindness either. A man who doesn't repay what he received will someday have to pay back more than he took. Before the debt becomes even bigger, repay it. No matter how Yonho sees it, now is the time to repay that kindness. Mukpung sighs and says that after all of his grand words, he wants to stop him, and then starts laughing hysterically. Mukpung asks Yonho if he thought that he was bribing him because he feared him. Yonho says that it didn't seem that way. Mukpung raises his hand above his head and uses some martial arts. Numerous hands appear from his chi. He says that it is nothing for him to kill Yonho. He could have killed him whenever he wanted, and Yonho should consider it an honor to die by his hands. Both the old men are stunned, seeing that Mukpung also knows martial arts. The hands shoot out with incredible speed, trying to swarm Yonho, while Yonho stands there calmly. Mukpung, laughing, gives Yonho advice that in his next life he should cast aside that laziness and live diligently. Just when the hands are about to reach Yonho, he states that he has seen this somewhere before. He dodges all the attacks, moves toward Mukpung and appears behind him, and with disappointment asks if it is over. Mukpung, surprised, asks how. Yonho says that he saw everything, so why even ask? He kicks Mukpung in the stomach, sending him crashing to the wall, saying that he will only hit him once. Everyone watches with their mouths wide open. Eunji and her father are free, while Li Wangya asks if Mukpung is dead. Yonho says that he only hit him lightly and that he's fat, so he should be fine. Yonho moves Marm and asks if they should continue where they left off. Mukpung tells Yonho to wait, suggesting that they should pretend that this never happened. Hearing this, everyone looks at him side-eyed. Li Wangya roars, saying that it's impossible, and orders his men to seize Mukpung at once. Mukpung pleads, saying that if he doesn't return, his father will think that the plan has failed, and then he will make one last gamble. It doesn't matter how it turns out, the imperial house will suffer immense damage. The royal head inspector ponders the matter, thinking that if he lets Mukpung go, the imperial house won't have to shed any blood, but even if he foresees it, the damage will be too great, and Nakgi will use even more vile methods. Li Wangya asks if he is suggesting that he should just watch traitors run loose in the imperial house. Mukpung asks if it isn't just politics. He would just grab a small weakness of the eunuchs for temporary peace. Li Wangya, with a stern face, says that he heard the eunuchs are like rats, leaving 10 holes behind to escape through. Turning around, he tells Mukpung to be gone. Mukpung, along with the assassins, is shown leaving while Yonho offers Mukpung some advice, saying that his martial arts, the flowing grace, are formidable, but sustaining the bone-shrinking arts drops their effectiveness, meaning that Mukpung is using transformation and disguise. Yonho tells him that next time he faces him, he should release that transformation. Mukpung, leaving, says that he will keep that in mind for the next time. Yeonho hopes that there isn't a next time, to which Mukpung states that there will be, as long as he is wearing that uniform. As the sun rises, Yeonho smiles softly, saying that it has all finally ended. Yeonho, smiling awkwardly, says that he is going to bed and leaves the rest to them. Eunji, in annoyance, says that he is sleeping again. Yeonho says that he has full board and lodging and asks if she is trying to go back on her words, to which Eunji grits her teeth in frustration. Yeonho runs back to his room, saying that he is going to sleep straight until tomorrow, and tells her to wake him up. A few days pass. Eunji and others are busy cleaning up the mess, but Yeonho has nothing to do with it. Meals are brought straight to his room, and his days fly by in comfort. The door creaks open, and Eunji comes inside, asking Yeonho to wake up. After getting no response, she tells him to stop pretending to sleep. She knows he is not. Yeonho sits up on the bed. Eunji tells him that her father is calling him. Yeonho asks what about his full day of rest. Eunji answers that she is not the one calling. If he has a problem, he can take it up with her father. Yeonho asks if he can just see him later. Frustrated, she pulls the sheet from under him, and he falls to the ground headfirst. Eunji says that she has brought Yeonho. Someone from inside tells them to come in. We see both Yuhwan and the old man sitting at a table. Yeonho walks in. Yuhwan praises her good work and tells her to leave. Yeonho bows and turns to leave. The old man yells at Yeonho, telling him to stay. Yeonho tells Eunji that he is telling her to stay. Eunji retorts that it's not her, it's him. Yeonho sits at the table and laughs awkwardly. The old man grabs his head and sighs heavily. Yuhwan tries to calm him down. The old man takes out a black sword. He hesitates for a moment. Yuhwan reassures him again. He places the sword on the table. Yeonho quickly takes it and puts it inside his shirt. The old man asks if Yeonho knows what it is, to which Yeonho replies that he doesn't. The old man asks why he took it. Yeonho says that it looked expensive. His master said that if it looks like money, take it first, no questions asked, and he won't give it back. He already put his spit on it. The old man, overcome with rage, shouts at Yeonho to listen to him for a moment. At this rate, he will doom his whole clan. He tells him that the sword is a sacred relic of the inspectorate. If he shows it somewhere, people will treat him as his equal. Yeonho looks at the sword for a moment, thinking about something. The old man asks Yeonho if there is a problem. Yeonho asks if that's all, and if there is some practical benefit like being able to buy food or a house. The old man asks if he needs more, to which Yeonho says that he did his part that day. This doesn't make them even. Give and take, that's how the world works. These days, people want something more materialistic, more realistic. Yeonho says that it's awkward. He can't even say it out loud. The old man asks if he is saying that he should forget about the relic and give him money. Yeonho replies that he wouldn't be that blunt. He does have some manners. The old man, furious, throws an inkstone at Yeonho. Yeonho catches it and asks if he can keep that too. Yuhwan tries to stop them. It's his cherished inkstone. The old man sighs, standing up straight, and says that he'll say it again. If Yeonho shows this sword, he will be treated as if he has the same post as the royal head inspector. Yeonho says that it basically means more work for him. The old man says that it's a government job. It's different. Yeonho asks if it's really different, and Yuhwan explains that in the past, the inspectorate sent secret inspectors into the central plain, and it has been vacant for some time, so they'd like him to take it up. Yeonho asks, with just the sword? The old man tells him to just take it. It's a reward, and he will sell his own house to reward him if he wants to. Yeonho says that's a relief. He thought it was going to be troublesome. The old man grits his teeth in anger, realizing that Yeonho was going to sell it. The old man asks Yeonho about his clan and his master, but Yeonho refuses to tell them. While Yuhwan slides his cherished inkstone inside his shirt, the old man, with a suspicious look on his face, asks Yeonho if he is not telling them because he doesn't trust him. When Yeonho doesn't say anything, he gets furious and says that Yeonho knows his rank and still doesn't trust him. Does he mean to hide his identity? Yeonho says that it's not about identity. It's about how he can't trust someone who hides his martial arts and puts on an act. He asks the old man how much time it would take him to subdue Mukpung. 5 seconds, 3 seconds, and that he hates dancing on someone else's chessboard. The old man asks if Yeonho knew that he was capable of martial arts. Yano says that he thought it was a bit strange. There are many who obsess over Go, but traveling 400 kilometers just to play Go is ridiculous. Too many people came here to play Go, so he thought there was a plot, and he just appeared at the wrong time. Then Mukpung came, leading to the whole incident. That is when he had to make a decision on whom to side with. The old man asks if they were not the obvious choice, to which Yanho says that it was more likely Mukpung was telling the truth. The Book of Signatures might have been fake, but the Royal Inspectorate gathering forces behind the scenes is hard to think of as a friendly thing. The most likely thing is treason. The old man asks why he helped them. Yano says that the girl called for him. He was really going to run away if he hadn't gotten caught. But she really didn't seem to know anything, so he couldn't just leave. His master said that meaning and worldly matters are important, but that it's all meaningless if he cannot see a person. The old man confirms that's why he acted that to observe the reaction. Yanho replies yes, and it felt like shit. Yano, with a serious face, asks the old man if he is plotting treason. The old man asks what he will do if he is plotting treason. Yanho says that he will just go to sleep comfortably. Li Wangya says, even if I am plotting treason. Yano asks if he wants him to pray for his success. The old man asks if he has no loyalty to the emperor. Yano says that he never got anything from him. Actually, he would like to cheer him on. At least he gave Yonho gold. The old man looks at Yonho with a grim face, then starts laughing loudly, saying that he knew Yonho was clever, but he is even better than he anticipated. The old man swears that they are not plotting treason, and that they are just gathering forces against Nakji. But the problem is that Nakji has caught on. Li Wangya asks Yonho if he knows why Nakji sent Mukpung here, and tells Yonho that it was to get him to kill Mukpung. Then he would have been able to expose that he was hiding his martial arts abilities and that he had gathered all these people. But that's when Yonho stepped in. The old man bows his head, apologizing if Yonho didn't like it, and says that it wasn't his intention to deceive him. They were just desperate at the moment. Yonho says, all right. The old man asks Yonho to believe him. Yonho says that he does. The old man asks Yonho if he will take the secret royal inspector role, to which Yonho tells him that he will never actively seek out work. The old man says that it doesn't matter. The world will never leave him alone even if he wants it to. Yonho asks if the old man is insulting him, to which the old man replies that it's the path of the hero. Hearing that, Yonho denies the request, but the old man says that he can't deny fate. Yonho gets up and says that he is leaving. The old man tells him that he is leaving too. Yonho, without looking back, says that he hopes they never meet again. After Yonho leaves, Yuhuan asks the old man what he thinks. The old man says that Yonho is more than he expected. He didn't think that Yonho would be able to catch on that he knows martial arts. He thought that he had picked up a dragon, but Yonho is basically a monster. If not careful, he might devour them instead. The old man continues, saying that if martial arts were all there was, he might agree, but Yonho knew everything and did not act until the very end. He wonders aloud who could have raised such a monster and orders Yuhuan to investigate Yonho. He notes that Yuhuan might not be able to find Yonho's master, but he must at least discover which family he belongs to. The scene shifts to night. Yonho is lying on the roof when someone approaches and asks if he is leaving. Yonho gets up when he sees Yuhuan and says he won't leave without a proper goodbye, given that Yuhuan let him stay in his house and fed him. Yuhuan asks if he was planning to leave soon. Yonho agrees and says he has learned a lot while he was there. Yuhuan asks him what he learned. Yonho answers that the two most important things are: first, even scholars who read a lot don't always live according to the texts they study. Second, Rulin is a scary place. Yuhuan asks him what he means by scary. Yonho explains that he didn't expect the strongest person he has encountered after coming to Jianghu to be in Rulin. Yuhuan guesses that he means Li Wangya's martial prowess is very impressive. Yonho looks at Yuhuan with a smug face and asks why he doesn't drop the act. Surprised that Yonho already knew, Yuhuan thinks that's not good and asks Yonho for a favor. Yonho says he won't tell anyone. Yuhuan says that he would like to continue living as a scholar. Yonho asks Yuhuan to tell him one thing in return. Yuhuan agrees. Yonho explains that his master told him to go see the world in Rulin. He thought he would witness justice or righteousness there, but instead he saw the dirtiness of the world. Yuan calmly responds that everyone learns and holds ideals in their hearts, but each person's ideals are different. When those ideals clash, people realize that they must first surpass reality in order to bring their own ideals to life. To do that, they first need to untangle their knots with the world. Those who lack patience simply cut the knots, which breeds arrogance and a corrupted conscience. People who throw their own lives away or send their adoptive sons to their deaths. Yano asks if the entire world is like that. Yuan replies that not all, but most are. Yano admits he doesn't know what his master wanted him to see or feel, but he thinks the world moves too fast for someone as lazy as him to fully perceive. Yuan asks if that isn't enough. He tells Yanho that if the world is too fast, he should chase it slowly. Those who are fast will see and learn much, but those who are slow will notice the details better. He asks Yanho the point of knowing what he is supposed to see and feel ahead of time. Yanho realizes he should see the world as it is, with himself as he is. He begins meditating, trying to sense his true self. Yuan watches, energy radiating, then jumps onto the roof to stand beside Yanho, entering deep concentration himself. After some time, Yanho opens his eyes. Yuan asks if he feels he has learned something. Yanho admits that, to be honest, he doesn't know. Yuan laughs, saying it's fine as long as Yanho grasps it with his mind, and leaves, expressing hope that Yanho will find his answer one day. After Yuan departs, Yanho lays back on the roof and feels something in his chest. He wonders if the orb his master gave him has done anything. Looking up at the sky, he imagines his master asking, "Do you get it now?" Yanho replies, "I don't get it yet," and drifts off to sleep. Yuan sees the sleeping Yanho with a worried expression. He asks, "Yanho, didn't you say that you were leaving soon?" Yanho replies, "It's already late, so I'll leave tomorrow." Yuan says, "You've been saying that for 2 weeks." Yanho laughs awkwardly, saying, "That happens." Both of them then hear the swift dragon announce their arrival. They ask for the item to be transported. Unji, pointing towards Yanho, says, "It's that thing." They look confused. "It's a human?" Unji remarks, "It just looks human." They tell her that they do escort people, but they have a different carriage for that, and they are only prepared to transport goods right now. Unji says, "There is no need to worry. They transport cows and chickens in that carriage, right?" Yanho only looks human. He is basically an animal. Just throw him in a carriage and give him 3 meals a day. He won't complain. I'll pay double. While Yanho listens, sitting on his bed, the man in blue tries to reason with her, but she just raises the price. They both agree at 4 times the price. The man in blue asks Yanho to come with him. Yanho grits his teeth in anger and asks Unji, "What is this about? She is sending me away like some trash." Unji scowls and says, "You catch on quickly." Yuan asks, "What is going on?" Unji, turning to him, says, "It's about time we got rid of this parasite." Yanho argues, "I've heard that the morals of the Zhonghu are in the gutter, but still, how could she do this to me, saying that I am her savior?" Yuan intervenes, saying, "We are indebted to him. Let him do as he wishes." Yanho lays down on his bed again. Unji replies, "If we do that, he would probably stay here until next year. Basically, we are helping him. You said you are headed to Hubei, and the escort agency is headed there too. So if you go with them, you won't have to walk. The escort agency will get money, and we will get rid of him. It's a win-win situation for everyone." Yanho, realizing that, says, "She is very convincing." But Yanho adds, "My mom told me not to follow strangers." Unji reassures him, saying, "They are trustworthy people, so you can go with them." Yanho bids them farewell, saying, "I didn't expect to leave so soon." Both Yuan and Unji, standing outside, see Yanho off and tell him to take care. Seeing Unji smiling, Yanho asks, "She seems really happy." Unji asks, "Is it really that obvious?" The carriage starts moving away. Unji calls to Yanho, telling him to take care and not to be so lazy. Yanho, with a weird face, says, "She is saying that after kicking me out." Before heading inside, she looks back and bids farewell. The leader of the Swift Dragon escort agency, Gok Baihan, looks at the sleeping Yanho, confused, and asks the others if the item they are transporting is this person. He asks them if they don't know that, while transporting a person, there are many more things to be prepared, to which the man in blue says that he wanted to turn down the request, but it was from the Great Hanlim Institute. Gok Baihan asks, "How long has Yanho been like that?" The man in blue replies, "Ever since they left, he's been like that." Gok Baihan scowls, thinking, if Yanho isn't sore or anything. The man in blue says, if the Institute said that, if they feed him like some cow or chicken, then he will not cause any trouble. Gok Baihan knocks on the crate, waking Yanho up. He introduces himself as the leader of the head escort of the mission. Yanho says, all right. Gok Baihan says, the trip is for transporting goods. If you come along, it will be uncomfortable, and asks, is that all right with you? Yanho says, it's fine. All I have to do is sit still, and you will take me to my destination. Gok Baihan remarks, you sure are optimistic, and tells Yanho, we will get going now. 5 days have passed since they left the Great Hanlim Institute. Yanho yawns and stretches in boredom, thinking that if he is awake, he falls asleep, and if he is asleep, his damned master appears in his dreams and harasses him. Yanho, grabbing his head, curses the dream mystic art and wonders, just how long is this going to last? Not for my entire life, is it? Giving up, he lays back down. Gok Baihan, sensing something, tells everyone to stop. He shouts, asking, who's there? Introducing himself as the leader of the Swift Dragon Agency, he requests to meet them. Yanho looks towards the bushes, thinking that they must be bandits. Getting no reaction from them, Gok Baihan thinks that the situation is bad. They are either amateur bandits or someone dangerous going after their carriage. He prefers the former, but he can't get a read on the presence and thinks, it's not some amateur bandit. Gok Baihan introduces himself again and tells them to come out. Otherwise, he will take it as a sign that they want to fight. Just then, a man in red with a sword on his waist comes out. Placing the sword on the ground, he introduces himself as Peng Dojuk of the Peng Hubei clan. Gok Baihan, introducing himself, asks Dojuk, why are you here? Dojuk says that he is being chased by someone and cannot lose them. He asks for help, saying that it might become a threat to the Jianghu. That is how Yanho met the guy who slammed the door on his face, Peng Dojuk. At that moment, he also didn't know that that meeting would push him into a river of misfortunes. While the Peng clan thinks with their muscles, they are second to none when it comes to their chivalry. So, if Dojuk is asking for help, then it must be really serious. Dojuk says there are people after him. If they help him get out of the mountain, then he will repay them for sure. Gok Baihan agrees to help him and tells him to hide inside the barrel, and warns him not to make any sound. Yanho, still lying on the cart, remarks about how loud Dojuk is. Dojuk apologizes for putting them at risk and says that he will definitely repay them later. Yanho says that what's the point if they are dead and asks if he doesn't have any conscience, putting all these people in danger. If he had, then he should have just pretended not to see them. As the carriage starts leaving, Yanho says that it doesn't matter and tells Dojuk not to talk to him because he is going to sleep. When they were almost out of the forest, a man blocking their path orders them to stop. The carriage stops and they surround the carriage from all sides. Gok Baihan recognizes them as people from the Green Forest clan. He gets down from the carriage and greets the people from the Green Forest. The man in green asks Gok Baihan if he has seen a young man in red clothes, to which Gok Baihan denied seeing anyone in red clothes. The man in green says that if he is lying, then he will not get out of this forest alive. Gok Baihan says that he wouldn't lie. The Swift Dragon Escort Agency has always maintained good relations with the Green Forest clan, and asks if he would have any reason to hide someone he doesn't even know. The man, seeing Yanho, asks about him. Yanho replies that he is an item to be transported. The man in green asks what he is talking about. Gok Baihan whispers to him that Yanho is sick in the mind, so they are taking him to a physician, and he doesn't need to mind him. The man in green says that he asked if they had seen a man in red clothes, and when they said that they hadn't, he would kill them one by one. Someone will definitely talk before all of them are dead. The man in green asks who wants to go first, looking at the coachman. When asked if he has seen a man in red clothes, the coachman, trembling, says that he hasn't seen anyone. The man in green says that then he will die, and moving forward, he tries to attack him, but is pushed back by Gok Baihan. Then Yanho intervenes, saying that he is over here. Everyone stops for a moment and looks at Yanho. The man in green asks what he just said. Yanho, with his foot on the barrel, says the guy they are looking for is in here. Banging his foot on the barrel, Yanho tells Dojuk to come out. He has been caught, and asks if he will only come out after everyone is dead. Dojuk comes out of the barrel.
The man in green says that he would have survived if he had run away, to which Dojuk replies that if he had run away, then they'd kill everyone here. The man in green asks if Dojuk is trying to be a hero. Dojuk denies it and says that he won't let innocent people die because of him. He thanks Gokbaihan and tells him to leave the mountain. The Green Forest clan is after him, so it shouldn't be a problem for them. Gokbaihan refutes, saying that he will die. Dojuk reassures Gokbaihan that he is fine, he can't run from them anyway. Gokbaihan gets on the carriage and tells the coachman to start moving. Yonho tells them to wait, saying that if they go through those guys, then they will attack them. Gokbaihan asks why they would attack them, to which Yonho says to just think about it. If they leave and say that a guy from the Pang clan was killed by the Green Forest clan, then the Pang clan will storm the Green Forest and kill the Green Forest like dogs, and the Green Forest clan would kill us to avoid that. The man in green says that Yonho is right. He didn't think that far ahead, but it makes sense. Gokbaihan curses Yonho for giving them the idea and calls him crazy. Dog Yuk says that he will hold them back and tell everyone to get out of there. Yonho remarks that it all started because of him, and now he is trying to play the hero, and asks how much time he thinks he can stall when he was on the run, because he couldn't handle them. And besides, they already know that this is the Swift Dragon Agency, so the Swift Dragon Agency will be screwed even before the Pang clan gets the news of what happened. Gokbaihan asks Yonho what they should do. Yonho says that they have to fight. If they run, they'll have to fight alone, and if they fight now, then they will at least have Dog Yuk to help. The Green Forest guys move to attack, saying not to resent them even if they die. Dog Yuk engages with the enemy, trying to block their attacks. He knew that Jianghu is a big place, but if he had known that it would be this dangerous, then he would never have gotten involved in this mess. He was always praised because he was very talented, so he got arrogant and let his guard down, and now because of him everyone here is going to die, and it's all his fault. Dog Yuk is getting overwhelmed by the green guys, getting attacked from all sides. One of them says that it's over, ready to deliver the final strike. Dog Yuk closes his eyes, apologizing to everyone. Just then the man in green is hit by something, sending him down to the ground. The man is clutching his stomach. Dog Yuk is shocked. He looks at Yonho, who is playing with a bowl in his hand. Yonho remarks that Dog Yuk sure is a handful. Everyone is shocked seeing the man down in one hit. Dog Yuk is surprised, seeing that the thing that took down the man is just a bowl. Yonho calls out to Dog Yuk, saying that he is getting distracted. A water ghost like him brought all these enemies, so he should do his share of fighting before dying. Looking at Gokbaihan struggling against the enemy, Yonho remarks that he is going to die at this rate and hits a guy with a bowl, knocking him out in one strike. While Dog Yuk is fighting against 3 guys, barely holding on, and despite being curious about Yonho, he collects his thoughts and uses 5 Tigers' gate-destroying blade to attack all of them in one go. But all of them dodge the attack. Dog Yuk realizes that it is not a duel, but a real fight, so there is no need for them to face the attack head-on. While he is frozen in one place, all the enemies attack him together. Just as Dog Yuk thinks that he is going to die, Yonho hits all 3 of them, sending them flying back. Gokbaihan calls for Yonho, telling him to come down and help him. Yonho says that a girl told him to stay still if something happens. Otherwise she would chase him to the ends of the earth to harass him. Gokbaihan says that he will take full responsibility, and if Yonho helps them, then he can rest at the next village for 2 days and eat as much as he wants. Yonho says that if Gok promises that he will help, picking up all the bowls he hurls them at the enemies. It's like hitting them with an automatic rifle, knocking all of them down. The man in green's eyes pop out with shock, realizing that Yonho is a martial master. Yonho, getting down from the carriage, asks Pang Dogyuk if he shouldn't be doing his best to help out since he is the one who brought them all here, saying that if he is fighting multiple enemies, then he shouldn't be using a slow and heavy move, and asks if he is trying to die. He should use fast moves or fight one guy at a time, and with his earlier move, why would he waste it on air? Yonho takes Dogyuk's sword from his hand, saying that he will show him. Dog Yuk is surprised that Yonho took his sword from his hand even before he could react. Yonho uses the same attack that Dog Yuk did and points out that it is too slow.
If he is fighting multiple enemies, then he should swing faster. Dog-Yuk is surprised that Yonho used it after seeing it just one time. Yonho demonstrates again, and this time even faster, and asks why it's so hard to understand. Yonho hands the sword back to Dog-Yuk and tells him to do better this time. Dog-Yuk stands face to face with the man in green again and focuses, thinking that this time he will focus on speed and precision, even if he has to reduce the amount of chi in the blade. When he opens his eyes, he sees the enemy running away. The enemy says that he will come back later. Yonho just sighs at how frustrating the situation is, while Dog-Yuk stands there awkwardly. The scene shifts to a later time. Yonho is thanking Gok Baihan for everything he did, saying that the journey was comfortable. Gok says that there is no need for him to thank them. They are getting paid after all, and they will never forget that he saved their lives. To which Yonho asks if Gok is just going to thank him with words, then says that he was just joking and that he will take it from Pang Dog-Yuk. Gok Baihan, being curious, asks Yonho why he was so harsh on him. There was no need for Yonho to chase him out like that. To which Yonho asks if Gok didn't realize that he and the others with him could have died if Yonho wasn't there. Gok Baihan argues that it looked like Dog-Yuk had his reasons and was doing something good. Yonho replies that it doesn't justify killing people. His master once said that there is nothing good in risking your life doing something that is not related to you. Yonho knows that there are people who value justice and all that, but if there are people who must be sacrificed, then he is better off not having that greater good. And with the Venerate Heaven Orthodox Alliance taking care of the matter, everything is resolved. Yonho bows and bids farewell, hoping that he gets to see them again. Gok Baihan smiles, asking Yonho not to say such ominous things, thinking that it would be nice if Yonho were a bit more disciplined. Yonho finally reaches the Nature's Hand Manor. Back at the Guangdong Y clan, Yonho's mother can't find Yonho's whereabouts, and is worried about his well-being, while his father reassures her that he must be alive somewhere. A servant barges in, panting, saying that there is a message. The young master, Wee Yonho, has sent a letter.
Naki, disappointed, reprimands Mukpung for failing such a simple mission. He asks if Mukpung was really that afraid of death. Mukpung denies it, saying that if he had died at Li Wangya's hands, it would have been meaningful, but since he was fighting someone else, even dying would have been meaningless. He argues that he's not afraid of death, he just wants to die a meaningful one. Naki scoffs and says he doesn't keep useless dogs by his side, so Mukpung had better develop some skills and at least bring him a bone next time. Terrified, Mukpung bows and promises that he will. Naki then orders him to leave. Mukpung stands and answers, yes. Naki laughs, saying that a useless but ambitious pig will eventually jump into a boiling pot of stew on its own. As Mukpung leaves, he mutters that Naki doesn't even know fear, calling him a eunuch. A man in black appears and tells Mukpung that he's still useful, so he should keep him alive for now. Mukpung turns around, realizing the man has arrived, and asks what they can even do with him. The man in black replies that Mukpung's very existence serves as a restraint on the royals. Mukpung claims he can do that just as well. The man in black shakes his head and says Mukpung has something else to do. He informs him that a summons has arrived from the pavilion and tells him to go as soon as possible. Mukpung laughs, saying he'll finally be free of this sickening body. As he walks, he mutters that Naki is useless anyway. He'll get rid of him and take everything he has. He then asks the man in black what the others are doing. The man replies that he doesn't know the details, but he thinks they're getting involved in the medical field. At Nature's Hand Manor, the receptionist tells Yonho that he's in the wrong place. Confused, Yonho asks what he means. The receptionist explains that the recommendation letter is for Sacred Hand Manor, while this is Nature's Hand Manor. Yonho then recalls that when he told Yuan he wanted to meet a physician, Yuan said he was friends with the Sacred Hand Manor master and would write a recommendation so Yonho would be treated well. Yonho, sweating, asks if this isn't the Sacred Hand Manor. The receptionist shakes his head and tells him to cross the street, go through the alleyway, and look for it there. Outside, while trying to find the manor, Yonho suddenly hears someone begging for help, pleading for a physician to save his wife. Yonho turns to see two people kneeling in front of another physician. One of them begs for her father's life, but the physician coldly replies that he can't treat anyone without money. Yonho had always believed that physicians would treat people no matter what. But clearly, there are ones who neglect the poor. He realizes once again how important money is in this world. Looking around, Yano wonders if the receptionist told him to go through this alleyway. At that moment, he notices a sign lying on the ground by the wall, Sacred Hand Manor. Staring at the normal-looking house, he wonders if this simple place is really the Sacred Hand Manor with 500 years of history. Entering the house, Yano calls out, asking if anyone is there. A child walks out and asks why Yano has come. Yano replies that he wants to meet the manor master. The kid nods and tells him to go ahead. Confused, Yano repeats that he wants to meet the master and asks where the child's father is. The kid answers plainly that his father died last year, and he is the manor master now. This boy is Jin Soa, the new master of the Sacred Hand Manor. Yano, frustrated and clutching his head, thinks that at this rate, he'll be lucky to not get struck by lightning in the street, let alone receive proper treatment. He curses his master for putting him in this situation. From inside, a girl calls out, asking what's going on. Jin Soa tells her that a guest wants to meet their late father. Stepping out, Jin Yuren asks Yonho if he really came to meet their father. Struck by her beauty, Yonho can only answer yes and hands her the recommendation letter. Yuren reads the letter carefully and says it seems Yonho came to learn about the physician manor. Yonho agrees. Yuren bows politely and says that even though they've lost their former glory, she can't just send him away. She tells him to make himself comfortable, even if it isn't the best. But Yonho insists he's fine and can go somewhere else. Yuren quickly explains that if she sends him away, people will talk badly about them. So Yonho ends up staying. Sitting inside a quiet room, Yonho sighs, thinking he shouldn't have expected anything from someone who was friends with Scholar Mun. Still, it is a physician's manor, so he lies down to rest. A knock sounds at the door. Yonho tells them to come in. Yuren enters with a tray of exquisite food, saying she thought he might be hungry. It isn't much, she says, but she hopes he enjoys it. Yonho's mouth waters, thinking this amount of food could last him 3 days. When Yuren turns to leave, he asks her to eat with him, but she refuses, saying she already ate. Looking at the food, Yonho starts to suspect they aren't as poor as they appear. Just then, he hears Jin Soa in the hallway, asking his sister how she brought all that food when they don't even have rice left. Yuren quickly hushes him, saying he doesn't need to worry about the manor's affairs and should focus on his studies. But Jin Soa presses on, asking what she did with her necklace. Yuren casually says she only took it off for a moment, but Soa, upset, reminds her that she never takes it off because it's their mother's heirloom. So did she sell it? Yonho goes pale listening to their conversation. Yuren finally admits that she pawned it at the Milky Way to borrow money and promises to retrieve it once things get better. Staring at the food, Yonho suddenly feels like he can't eat any of it. At that moment, Yuren re-enters the room and notices the untouched plate. Worried, she asks if the food wasn't to his liking and offers to cook something else. Yonho, sweating, hurriedly refuses, insisting that's not it, and starts eating immediately. Tears well up in his eyes as he wonders if it's too late to get a refund on the meal. The next morning, Yonho walks through the street clutching his stomach. Even though the meal was too much for him, Yonho ended up eating all of it. Sometime later, he finally reaches the Milky Way Manor. Inside, a man greets him and asks why he's there. Yonho replies that he's looking for something. As the man guides him inside, he asks what exactly Yonho is looking for. Yonho answers that he wants to retrieve the necklace the Sesh Sacred Hand Manor pawned yesterday. We are then introduced to Ha Defeng, the branch owner of the Milky Way Manor. Defeng explains that the Sacred Hand Manor didn't sell the necklace, they pawned it, so he can't hand it over unless Yonho is officially from the manor. Yonho immediately claims that he is from the Sacred Hand Manor. Defeng narrows his eyes, saying he's never seen Yonho before. Yonho insists that he came just yesterday. Yonho places a pouch of money on the table and asks if it's enough. Defeng opens it, looks inside, and shakes his head. Yonho protests, saying there's more than 2 silver nyang in the pouch. Defeng explains, the lady borrowed 1 silver nyang. We charge triple when they pick it up. If she comes back after 3 months, it becomes 6 times. Yonho argues that the interest is way too high for a simple loan. Defeng shrugs, saying those are the rules, and if Yonho doesn't like it, he can just sell the necklace instead. Hearing that, Yonho knows the Sacred Hand Manor will never be able to buy it back, and he's certain Yuren already knew that when she pawned her mother's heirloom. Taking something out of his pocket, Yonho asks if they accept other items as collateral. Defeng nods. Yonho places it on the table and asks if it could cover the cost, saying it should be expensive since it's gold. Defeng unsheathes the item, a gold-plated knife, and says, yes, it's definitely gold. I can give you 1 gold nyang for it, but you'll have to return 3 gold nyang later. Then Defeng notices something engraved on the sheath. The Royal Inspectorate mark. Realizing what Yanho has just pawned, Defeng's expression shifts while he realizes something far worse. He's royally screwed. Someone rushes in and reports to the man with the scar that there's a problem. They failed to take the palace. Hearing this, the man with the scar asks if Nok Gi refused to act. The man dressed in white explains that the royal inspectors stood firm, causing Nok Gi's influence to drop. They might even have to abandon the plan entirely. He adds that there's also a small issue with the Green Forest. The Hubei Pang clan interfered during their attempt to take control of it. The man with the scar asks whether the Pang clan noticed their movements. The man in white replies that it was actually the Orthodox Alliance, not the Pang clan itself. But it seems they still haven't caught on to their true intentions. They assumed it was just a bandit attack. The man with the scar stays calm. Problems are to be expected when executing a large scheme, he says. What matters is how they handle them. The man in white then reports that everything related to the physicians and the other operations is proceeding smoothly. The man with the scar remarks that although they've endured many hardships since his retirement, they've finally gathered enough strength. Soon, they will make their move, showing the world just how terrifying their sword truly is. Back at the Milky Way Manor, Defeng, his hands trembling, realizes he's absolutely doomed as Yanho asks for the 3 gold Niang. Defeng immediately drops to his knees and apologizes, saying he failed to recognize Yanho earlier. He panics internally, wondering what he should fix first, cheating Yaron before, or demanding such outrageous interest rates. Looking up at Yanho, Defeng tries to explain himself. Yes, the interest rate is high, but that's because many customers pawn items and never return. With compound interest, their profit is only around 4.5%. Yanho, confused, asks what their annual interest rate is. Defeng, smiling awkwardly, answers, "It's not much. At most 60%. Glaring at Defeng, Yanho says he's never heard anything so absurd in his life. Not 4%, but 60%. Defeng, sweating profusely, stammers that it's not much considering the value of the item. The jade is worth 10 silver Niang, so the interest isn't that high, supposedly. Yanho's expression darkens. He points out that earlier, Defeng claimed it was 1 silver Niang, and now he's suddenly saying 10. Defeng freezes, realizing he just exposed himself. He completely messed up. With a loud voice, Yanho orders him to lock all the doors. He's going to settle this right here, right now. Meanwhile, Defeng scrambles behind him, desperately trying to calm Yanho down. Later that night, at the Sacred Hand Manor, Yaron is working through paperwork when someone knocks on her door. Confused, she steps outside, wondering who would come this late. Then she notices it. A necklace lying on top of a folded paper. She gently picks it up. Closing her eyes, she's flooded with memories of her mother. She looks around, searching the dark corridor, wondering who could have left it behind. Meanwhile, Yanho lies on the manor roof, hoping the necklace will at least cover the cost of their food. At the General Strategist Pavilion of the Venerate Heaven Orthodox Mirim Alliance, Dojuk sits at a table studying a map. His mind races. Why was he summoned? Did he do something wrong? When someone enters the room, Dojuk jumps up in panic, but the man tells him to sit. Nervously, Dojuk bows and obeys. This man is Jo-hyun, the divine strategist of the Orthodox Mirim Alliance. Jo-hyun explains that he heard about the incident in the Green Forest. He even met the 10 Swords of the Green Forest himself. Dojuk's eyes widen. That was the 10 Swords? No wonder they were so powerful. Jo-hyun says he will take care of the Swift Dragon Escort Agency, and the incident will help them uncover even bigger issues. But the real problem is the mysterious young man who helped Dojuk. The strategist notes that while Dojuk and the Swift Dragon Escort Agency are strong, even they would struggle against a single member of the 10 Swords. Yet someone defeated all 10 of them, alone. Jo-hyun asks if Dojuk knows this young man's name. Dojuk answers quietly, his name is Wee Yanho. Hearing Yanho's name, Jo-hyun suddenly remembers. This was the same name mentioned in the message he received from the beggar sect. He wonders if the second son of the Wee clan has truly returned, and with such powerful martial arts. The eldest son is already known to be highly skilled, and now the second son shows up with this level of strength. Jo-hyun starts to suspect that the Guangdong Wee clan might be connected to the recent chaos. Standing up, he asks Dojuk where Yanho said he was headed. Dojuk replies, he said he was going to the Sacred Hand Manor. Jo-hyun frowns. Something feels off. Why would someone who returned after 5 years go to Hubei instead of heading home first? He decides he needs more information. And since Dojuk is the only person who knows what Yanho looks like, he asks for his cooperation. Dojik kneels on one knee and agrees, though a worried expression crosses his face at the thought of meeting Yonho again. The next morning, Yano is still sleeping on the roof. Jinsoa spots him and wonders how he even got up there without a ladder. She thinks for a moment that he might be from the Murim world, but quickly dismisses the idea. There's no way someone who looks that homeless and sleeps all day could be a martial artist. She smirks, assuming he probably only knows a few basic techniques. Just then, someone bangs on the front door, shouting if anyone's home. When Jinsoa opens it, several people are there, each carrying injured men on their backs. One of them explains that they work at the quarry and were injured when boulders came crashing down. Another adds that they have no money, so they came there for help. Jinsoa freezes, completely overwhelmed. Yeran appears behind him, asking what he's standing around for. She quickly takes charge. She tells him to bring the patients in, categorize them, send the non-urgent cases to the rooms, and treat the urgent ones immediately. Yonho watches as she commands the room with absolute authority, while Jinsoa dashes around in a panic. Yeran orders the urgent patients to be laid on the ground. She checks a man's pulse, ties up her sleeves with a ribbon, and pulls out a glowing acupuncture needle, powered by some kind of medical martial art. Her hands move like lightning. She strikes a point, and the patient immediately spits out a mouthful of dark blood. Some of it splashes onto her, but Yeran doesn't even flinch. She wipes nothing, shows no hesitation, and rushes to the next patient. She yells at Jinsoa, telling him to hurry unless he plans on letting them die. Meanwhile, Jinsoa scrambles to treat another patient, struggling to keep up with her speed. Looking at the man behind him, Jinsoa realizes he'll need help treating him. He glances up at Yonho, who's still sitting casually on the roof, and shouts for him to come down. "You're from the Murim, right? You should know acupuncture. Hurry and check the patient." Yonho crouches beside the injured man and mutters that he never properly learned acupuncture. "What do you want me to do?" he asks. Soa tells him to stimulate the Tiantu acupoint halfway and the Zhongfu acupoint fully. Yonho does as he's told, but the patient immediately starts foaming at the mouth. "He's reacting weirdly," Yonho says, alarmed. Jinsoa explodes. "That's not the Zhongfu acupoint. You're not even worth dog shit. Press a bit lower." Frustrated, Yonho snaps back. "I told you I don't know acupuncture." He adjusts his hand again and notices the man beginning to breathe. Looks like he's breathing now. Soa quickly explains. "His airway just opened. Now you need to make him cough up the blood." Then, in a panic, he yells, "We're out of time. Just inhale it with your mouth." Yonho freezes. "Are you serious? You want me to kiss this old man? If you don't, he'll die." Soa shouts. With the most miserable expression ever, Yonho growls. "So all I had to do was make him spit out the blood. You should have said that earlier. Why'd you make me out to be worse than dog shit?" Yonho places his hand over the man's mouth and neck, focusing intensely. Seeing this, Soa asks nervously, "What are you doing?" Yonho channels his chi and pulls the congealed blood out from the man's throat and mouth. He looks up at Soa with a straight face. "What does it look like? I'm saving a life." Under the night sky, Sanho stands alone, clutching a letter in his hand. He reads the message sent by his mother, confusion flickering across his face. She writes that she would have loved to ask how he's doing, but the matter is serious. Yonho is alive. He sent them a letter after 5 long years. Sanho grips his chest tightly at the news. His mother continues. Yonho wrote that he's not allowed to come home, whatever that means. So she and his father are going to look for him. The letter came from the Kaifang branch of the House sect, so they're heading straight to Kaifang. Sanho, clutching his chest again, feels a wave of relief wash over him. Yonho is alive, but he forces himself to calm down. This isn't the time to get emotional. He remembers that Kaifang is where Zhang Il is, and immediately rushes off, chi surging under his feet. Back at the Sacred Hand Manor, Jinsoa knocks on Yonho's door. "Are you asleep?" "Yes," Yonho replies instantly. "It doesn't sound like it," Soa says. Yonho sighs. "How can a physician not trust people?" Jinsoa coughs awkwardly, then lowers his head. "I just wanted to say, you did well today. It was a little helpful." "A little?" Yonho shoots back. "I saved an entire patient. You were of great help," Soa corrects himself quickly. Then Soa hesitates before asking, "Where do you think our problem lies?" "There are so many problems," Yonho answers. "Why are you asking?" Soa explains that he wants to restore the Sacred Hand Manor to its former glory, and he needs the honest opinion of an outsider. Yonho sits up. "In that case, your biggest problem is money." Soa blinks in confusion. "But for a physician, isn't medicine supposed to be the most important? Money is secondary, isn't it?" "Think about it," Yonho says. What dragged your household into ruin? You said the large physician's manor across the street used to be yours. So-ah lowers his gaze and grips his apron tightly. He explains that his father was a kind man, someone who didn't have a single enemy. He treated patients for free, just like they're doing now. It was only possible because they had wealth from previous generations. But that wealth started running out around the time So-ah was born. By the time he grew up, it was already empty. Still, his father realized his method was unsustainable, so he tried to find a way to repay the debt. Yano asks bluntly, "So what happened? Did someone scam him? Was he assassinated?" So-ah looks at him side-eyed, asking what nonsense he's talking about. But he continues, saying that the only way to get a lot of money in a short time, and at very high risk, is gambling. Yano asks if his father tried to pay off his debts by gambling, and ended up ruining their family. So-ah replies that once his father started gambling, he barely ate proper food, and eventually died from malnutrition and alcohol poisoning. Yonho, annoyed, asks So-ah why he's even asking him that. So-ah explains that since Yonho has a recommendation from Yuan, he can't possibly be just a normal person. Yano smirks and says that he is an ordinary person, and So-ah should ask something like that to a professional. At the Milky Way Manor, Daefeng greets Yonho with a big smile and asks if Yonho wants him to invest in the Sacred Hand Manor. Yonho says that's right and asks if the manor would be in such a state if Daefeng were the one managing it. Daefeng confidently replies that of course it wouldn't. Yano adds that So-ah and his sister have medical skills but no administrative skills. Daefeng agrees that if he were to help, they would definitely earn a lot of money. Jin So-ah suddenly intervenes, saying he doesn't want to work with him. Yano tells him he doesn't have the luxury of being picky right now. So-ah argues that their household is renowned, so working with a loan shark is a bit questionable. Daefeng retorts that they were the ones who blew all their money, while at least he knows how to manage his. Yonho urges So-ah to think about where their reputation came from. Does he really think the Sacred Hand Manor would have lasted this long if they kept treating everyone for free like they're doing now? Their old pavilion was grand too. The ancestors So-ah is so proud of received money from their parents, which is why they were able to build such a magnificent pavilion. So now he needs to do the same. Bring in money, so people think they are doing well. So-ah is disappointed because he believed medicine should be all about the people. Back at the Sacred Hand Manor, Yonho recalls So-ah's troubled expression and wonders if he was too blunt. It feels like So-ah has been really down ever since. Just then, Yonho hears someone arriving. Outside, a man is holding someone by the collar, demanding to know where Jin Yeron is. This man is Jua Jiol from the Black Earth clan. Hearing the commotion, Yeron bursts out, asking what he's doing and why he's dragging a patient into this. She asks if he has no empathy. Jua Jiol looks at her and asks if she is Jin Yeron, then says that her father borrowed money from them in the name of the Sacred Hand Manor, and she needs to pay it back or close the business. Yeron tells him that if he has a problem, he should talk to them. Why is he dragging patients into this? Hearing that, he throws the patient to the ground and grabs Yeron's hand, making her screech in pain. He says he didn't want to resort to this either, but since she wants to handle it herself, and considering how pretty she is, selling her off to a brothel would pay off the debt. She'd be able to clear it in about 10 years. Jin So-ah hits Jua Jiol with both hands, shouting for him to let go of his sister. Jua Jiol smiles and kicks So-ah to the ground. Seeing him get kicked, Yeron shouts her brother's name. Other patients tackle Jua Jiol, trying to free Yeron, telling him not to take her. One man bites his arm, declaring that he's going to die either way, so he'll take Jiol with him. While Jiol struggles with him, another patient grabs him from behind. Yeron, sitting on the ground, tells everyone to stop, saying this isn't their problem to deal with. She tells Jiol not to lay a hand on the patients and agrees to go with him. So-ah asks her what she's talking about. Yeron, with a sorrowful expression, says she'll repay the debt somehow and tells him not to worry about her. Jiol takes her and heads outside. The patients watch with sad expressions, and Jin So-ah starts crying. Just then, someone tells them to wait. Both of them look back. Yonho tells Jiol that he can't go. Jiol, smirking, asks who he is. Yonho, covering himself with a bedsheet, says that he is Wee Yonho. Everyone goes silent for a moment, looking at Yonho. Jua Jiol tells Yeron to go and wonders if Yonho is just stupid. Yonho repeats that Jiol can't take her. If he does, who's going to prepare his food? Jiol, puzzled, asks Yonho if Yeron cooked for him and why. Yonho answers that she did because he is a guest. Annoyed, Yonho asks Jiol if he's stupid or something. Juajil, furious, asks if Yonho is some homeless guy, then tries to punch him, saying he'll make sure Yonho won't have to eat again. Yeron, seeing this, tells Jiol to stop, but Yonho slams Juajil into the ground with one hit. Everyone is shocked by the scene unfolding in front of them. Yonho scratches his head and asks Juajil if he's alright, saying that this kind of thing just happens sometimes. Juajil gets up, realizing Yonho knows martial arts, and asks where he's from, calling him a martial master. Yonho casually replies that he's not a martial master. Jiol tells him not to intervene. They have a contract, so the government will be on their side. Yonho says he can't do that. He needs someone to cook for him. Juajil thinks that's just an excuse to help them out and asks if Yonho is really going to interfere in the business of the Dark Earth sect. When Yonho repeats the name with a puzzled expression, Jiol explains that they're the ones the Sacred Hand Manor is indebted to, so they won't let the matter go. Yonho says he doesn't intend to interfere, but asks if money is the problem right now. Juajil asks if Yonho plans to pay off their debt. Yonho replies that he doesn't have any money right now, but he'll send it in 2 weeks and tells Jiol to leave. Everyone watches silently. Juajil agrees, saying he hopes Yonho will keep his promise. Back at the Dark Earth branch, he reports to his boss, Guakdo-san, about the martial master at the Sacred Hand Manor. Guakdo-san says that a guest appearing at the manor could complicate things, and asks if Jiol ran away after discovering that Yonho is a martial master. Jiol replies that he's not a coward. Yonho promised to pay the money back in 2 weeks, so he thought he should report the situation first. Hearing that, Guakdo-san screams at Jiol, saying he sent him to use the debt as an excuse to bring their business down. Jiol explains that he thought that it would make more sense to find out who Yonho is. But Guakdo-san gets more furious, saying that he talks too much and he is going to cut off his tongue. If things don't go as planned, they will all be turned to ashes. To which Juajil, trembling, asks if he should go and kill Yonho. Dosan denies, sighing that there is on need to provoke a martial master, and tells him to keep an eye on Yonho. At the Sacred Hand Manor, Yonho is lying in his room while Jinsoa sits beside him. Jinsoa asks Yonho what he is going to do now. Yonho asks about what. Jinsoa reminds Yonho that he said that he would pay off the debt in 2 weeks. Yonho asks if he really said that. Jinsoa asks if he even had a plan. What does he mean by, did he really say that? To which Yonho says that he have a plan. And with a very serious face, Yonho explains that it is a very ancient method to deal with a loan shark. With knife-cutting tension in the air, Jinsoa asks with a serious face what it is. Yonho answers that it's called running away in the night. Soa, hitting Yonho, asks if he is serious. Jinsoa can't believe himself that he thought that Yonho had an idea. Yonho asks Soa how much the debt is. Jinsoa replies that he is not sure, but he thinks it's about 20 gold nyang, to which Yonho remarks how someone can be in such great debt. Jinsoa tells him that it used to be more, but they paid it using all their savings. Yonho stands up and says that they are leaving. Soa asks where they are going, to which Yonho answers that they are going to get money. Jinsoa, confused, asks what he is talking about. Yonho, smiling, says that the method he is going to use is the same method that his father used to ruin the family. Both Yonho and Jinsoa reach the secret gambling house in the Golden Flower sect, where many games are being played. The Golden Flower Manor Master Kang Chunlip is sitting in his office, thinking that today is a failure too. He wonders if everyone knows that they rip newbies off, and thinks maybe ripping the Sacred Hand Manor long age is what caused this. Just then, a man come running, calling for him. Kang Chunlip asks if the government is here. Them man says that a big one came, a big idiot customer. Yonho looks around the gambling house. Jinsoa wonders if it is really okay. Yonho wants to gamble his way out of debt. Just then, a man comes and greets them with a cheerful smile and asking why they are here. Yonho, seeing his cheerful behavior, asks him if he knows Yonho. He says that he does. Yonho is there to enjoy the day. Yonho asks him what should he do there. The man says that they have all kinds of games here. Anything he wants to bet money on he can do, and guides him inside, saying that he should see the games for himself, and takes him at a table where 2 cups and several dice are present. He tells Yonho that the game is called Yin Yang game. It's the most popular game here, and it's very simple. In this game, he will put 3 marbles in a cup and shake the cups, which will divide the marbles into the 2 cups. When he places one of the cups down, he just needs to guess if the number of the marbles are odd or even. Yonho says that it looks easy. The man agrees, saying that that's why people like it. Laughing sinisterly, he says that complex games have their own charm, but this is where he can make fast money. Plus, there is a 50% chance of winning. It's perfect for his fiery personality. Affected by the praises, Yonho agrees and says that he doesn't like to wait for things. And he'll play this game. Later, Kang Chonlip, seeing Yonho doing well, thinks that it's easy to draw in a newbie like Yonho. All they have to is keep a nice balance and let him win big once and repeat the process until he gets addicted. And sigh in relief. Suddenly he sears someone, saying that he is basically robbing the Golden Flower Manor. He looks toward the table and sees silver nyang stacked up beside Yonho, while he is playing calmly, and wonders what is going on. At the beggar sect, Zhang Il is slacking off, relaxed now that he thinks he will finally get his money since Yonho is gone. Just before winter arrived, he even found a sturdy pair of doors that someone had thrown out. But just as he is thinking he is quite fortunate, someone suddenly breaks the doors. The demon-slaying sword, Wisanho, appears. Grabbing Zhang Il's collar and nearly strangling him, he demands to know if it's true that Yonho is alive. Barely able to breathe, Zhang Il confirms and begs Sanho to let him go. Sanho then asks if Yonho is alive, where he is now. Still gasping for air, Zhang Il says that information belongs to the house sect, and Sanho should ask them instead. Sanho lifts him up and says they are leaving. When Zhang Il asks where, Sanho replies that they are going to the house sect and orders Zhang Il to lead the way. Zhang Il looks at him with a horrified expression. Later, at the house sect, both Sanho and Zhang Il stand before the house sect leader of the Kaifang branch. She calls Zhang Il a bastard and asks how he dares bring the demon-slaying sword, the orthodox Murim's best young martial artist, into their sect. Zhang Il tries to explain that he didn't want to, but she cuts him off, telling him to shut up, saying that both of them are going to die today. Back at the gambling house, people murmur that if Yonho wins again, he will earn 1,000 silver nyang. The host feels intense pressure, knowing that if he loses another round, the gambling house will lose 1,000 silver nyang. He wonders what's wrong with Yonho as Yonho casually places his next bet on even. The host carefully reveals the marbles, thinking that Yonho has already won 9 times in a row. When the cup is lifted, 4 marbles are revealed, and Yonho wins again. The crowd erupts in excitement, calling him the god of gambling. Another person shouts that he has never seen anything like this. Jinsoa pats Yonho's back, saying that he won, while Yonho sits there smugly. Yonho recalls how he used to dodge attacks just by listening to the sound of flying rocks. Compared to that, this game is easy. He can tell if the result is odd or even simply by hearing the sound. While the host shakes the cups for another round, Yonho yawns, thinking it's a shame, but he should stop. Just one more round, and he'll have the money he wants. Just then, Kang Chonlip intervenes. Both Yonho and Jinsoa look at him in confusion. Chonlip greets Yonho, saying he didn't realize he was such an important guest. Someone in the crowd recognizes him as the master of the Golden Flower Manor. Yonho responds that he's no one important, just a regular guy. Chonlip smiles and says that anyone who makes a game interesting is important. Yonho says that he didn't find the game that interesting. Chonlip curses Yonho inwardly, thinking that he ate up 1,000 silver nyang, and still dares to say the game wasn't interesting. Chonlip then invites Yonho to play a different game, saying he should move to a bigger stage. When Yonho shows interest in a bigger game, Chonlip tries to convince him further, saying that the real games are yet to begin, and that they'll be much more fun. But Yonho rejects the idea, saying he doesn't want to, while Jinsoa hurriedly stuffs all the money into a bag. Chonlip thinks that at this rate, Yonho is going to win 10 gold nyang and leave, and he can't let that happen. Placing his hand on Yonho's shoulder, Chonlip says that Yonho can't leave like that. If Yonho stays and plays a bigger game, he will give him 5 gold nyang. Yonho asks him to make it 10. Chonlip hesitates but eventually agrees, on one condition. The games will continue until one side loses all their money. Yonho, thinking he's too lazy to come again tomorrow, agrees as long as Chonlip gives him 10 gold nyang. Chonlip laughs, believing Yonho has fallen into his trap, and calls someone, saying that Yonho has agreed. A man with a scar on his eye, holding multiple dice, appears. Doc B, the one-armed gambling king. He looks at Yonho surrounded by money and wonders how someone like him managed to win so much. Sitting at the table, he admits that if Yonho won all that money, then he certainly qualifies as a gambler. Yonho asks Doc B if he is his opponent, and Doc B confirms it. When Yonho asks what they'll be playing, Doc B stylishly tosses the dice on the table and says this is the game he suggests. People murmur, wondering if dice are too simple, but another person says that this kind of game reveals a gambler's true skill. Someone else insists that there's no way Yonho can defeat Doc B, while Yonho simply yawns. Doc B explains the rules. The one whose dice roll is higher wins. He asks Yonho if he's ready, and Yonho says he is. Doc B also explains that the game continues until one side runs out of money. Kang Chanlip adds that if Yonho runs out of money, he can add more, but if he loses, the winner will decide whether the game continues. He asks Yonho if he's fine with that, and Yonho answers that it's fine. Chanlip then announces the start of the game as people watch in excitement. Jin So-ah places his hands on Yonho's shoulders and asks if he can do it. Yonho, sitting calmly, asks if So-ah has ever seen him lose. A few moments later, all their money is gone. Jin So-ah bites his nails in frustration while Yonho sweats buckets. Jin So-ah reminds him that it's his 10th loss, and Yonho weakly agrees. So-ah says that he trusted Yonho because Yonho told him to, and Yonho, pale-faced, confirms it again. So-ah remarks that at this rate, they're going to go bankrupt. Doc B holds the dice and says this will be the last game, and the round is worth 2,000 silver nyang. People laugh, saying Yonho has lost all his money and is about to fall into debt. Smirking, Doc B rolls the dice while Yonho watches with his head resting on his hand. All the dice land on sixes. People scream in shock while Jin So-ah grabs his head in defeat. Doc B calmly asks Yonho if he still wants to continue playing. Yonho says that he will. Doc B argues that the winner seems obvious already. Yonho says that he doesn't know about that, but Jin So-ah suddenly calls out to him, addressing him as young master. Yonho asks Jin So-ah if he trusts him. Tilting his head, Jin So-ah replies that there's no one else he would trust. Yonho then places his head on Jin So-ah's head and tells him that no one has ever said something like that to him before. Taking the dice in his hand, Yonho exhales loudly. He thinks that if he wins this round, he will earn 40 gold nyang. With a serious expression, he throws the dice onto the table. Everyone holds their breath as the dice fall. All of them land on ones, the lowest score possible. Yonho stares with his mouth wide open in shock, while Jin So-ah calls him a son of a bitch. Somewhere else, a shadowed man sits on a chair and asks who the boy is. Dosun, kneeling in front of him, answers that they haven't discovered his identity yet. The mysterious man remarks that a young boy skilled in martial arts appearing out of nowhere is suspicious and orders Dosun to kill him. Dosun looks confused, arguing that they still don't know how skilled the boy truly is. The man, smiling sinisterly, tells him that he will provide stronger men so there's no need to drag things out, and orders him again to kill Yonho. Back at the gambling house, Jin So-ah is losing his mind, while Yonho simply stares down at his own hands. Doc B, smiling, says that Yonho simply got unlucky this time, while Yonho is still staring at his hand. Yonho then asks Chanlip what happens now. Chanlip politely tells him that since he has no money left, he just needs to pay back the 10 gold nyang he borrowed. Yonho replies that that's not what he's asking. He wants to know how much money he needs to keep playing. Kang Chanlip answers that he needs 40 gold nyang to continue. Yonho confirms that if he brings 40 gold nyang, he can keep playing. Chanlip explains that although the gambling house decides whether to continue or not, if Yonho brings the money, they will play. Yonho asks Chanlip if he can promise that. Chanlip nods, saying that a gambling house cannot operate without trust. Hearing this, Yonho smiles, and Jin So-ah looks at him, wondering what he's planning. Yonho calls someone in, and everyone turns toward the door. Daefeng enters, followed by 2 servants carrying several boxes. He apologizes for being a bit late. Yonho yells at him, asking why he took so long. He almost became a slave with all the money he lost. Daefeng casually brushes it off, saying that Yonho would never allow himself to become a slave anyway. Chanlip, sweating, asks Daefeng why he is here. Daefeng replies that he brought the money Yonho requested, though it took time since it had to be prepared in gold. Yonho then steps forward and reminds Chanlip that he said Yonho can play as long as he has money, and the bet doubles each round, so Yonho suggests they increase the stakes. Chanlip freezes, unable to understand what is happening. Yonho declares that the amount for the next round will be 100 gold nyang. Chanlip, stuttering, asks if he really just said 100 gold nyang. Seeing his expression, Yonho asks if he's scared. Chanlip inwardly admits that of course he is, and quickly asks Doc B if he can handle it. Doc B confidently asks if Chanlip is doubting the gambling king. Chanlip says he isn't, and tells him he trusts him, then announces that the game will continue. Doc B says that Yonho has turned this into a much larger game, and asks if this was part of his plan. Yonho looks at him blankly and asks what he's talking about. Doc B then asks why Yonho called the Milky Way Manor Master ahead of time. Yonho casually replies that his mother always told him he should have a lot of money, no matter what happens. Yonho takes the dice and says he will go first. He throws the dice upward, and everyone watches as they float in the air. 5 of the dice land on 6s, and all eyes focus on the last one, waiting to see what it will be. The final die settles on a 5. People murmur that it could have been all 6s, but it's still an excellent roll. Dokbi picks up the dice and says it's a shame. Yonho fell short by just 1 point. Yonho remarks that a total of 35 is still incredibly high. Dokbi laughs, saying it won't matter. Even if Yonho underestimated him, he will now show why he is called the king of gambling. He rolls his dice. Again, 5 dice land on 6s. The crowd holds its breath, waiting for the last die. Jinsoa anxiously asks Yonho what they should do and why he's so calm. If they lose, they'll be completely broke. Shocking violently, Jinsoa asks if Yonho is really sure about this. Yonho squeezes his eyes shut and asks Soa if his sister is good at dancing, thinking that if they lose, she'll definitely be taken away. Jinsoa screams, asking what nonsense Yonho is talking about. The last die stops and everyone stares in shock. It's a 4. The die lies there with 4 dots on top. The place erupts with cheers. Yonho has won by 1 point. Yonho sits frozen, eyes wide open, unable to believe he actually won. Jinsoa hugs him tightly, shouting that he won 100 gold nyang. Yonho pushes him away, reminding him that he called him a son of a bitch earlier. Qianlip grabs his head, feeling the crushing weight of losing that much money. He turns to Dokbi and reminds him that he said he could win. Dokbi simply replies that if he is the gambling king, then Yonho must be a gambling god. Qianlip can only curse in frustration. Daifeng steps forward, capturing everyone's attention, and states that with this victory, the debt the Sacred Hand Manor owes to the Golden Flower Manor is now paid, and all present are witnesses to the incredible game that just took place. Dokbi bows to Yonho, saying it was a good game. Yonho bows back in respect. After collecting the money, Daifeng informs Yonho that he will store it at the Milky Way Manor for now, and Yonho agrees. Jinsoa walks up to Yonho, saying he's exhausted just from watching and asks if Yonho is alright. Yonho replies that he's a bit tired too. As they leave, he tells Jinsoa that Daifeng will take care of the money, so they should head home. He just wants to eat some good food and sleep. Jinsoa says he knows a place and will take him there. Just then he bumps into someone. Dosun stands there with several men, and Yonho looks at them, puzzled. Daifeng quietly tells Yonho that, judging by their appearance, they seem to be from the Dark Earth sect. Dosun, cold and stern, asks who among them is Wee Yonho. Meanwhile, Sanho arrives at the Hanlim Institute, where Eunji greets him. She explains that Yonho isn't there. He went to Hubei with the Swift Dragon Agency. Sanho thanks her and tells Zhang that they're leaving. Zhang, shocked, asks where they're going. Sanho says they're going to Hubei. Zhang panics, asking who said he was going with Sanho, then starts rolling on the ground, crying that he can't go. He ran all the way there without food or water. If Sanho insists on going, he might as well kill Zhang now. Watching Zhang rolling around, Eunji sighs and tells them to rest before departing. But Sanho refuses. Zhang, horrified again, begs him to stay. Eunji tells them that people will talk badly about the institute if they turn guests away at night, so she will prepare a bath and food and asks them to rest before leaving. Zhang continues rolling on the ground, insisting he can't go. Sanho can kill him. He'll die either way. Seeing this, Sanho finally agrees and thanks Eunji for allowing them to stay. Later, both Sanho and Zhang soak in the bath. Zhang jokes that if the beggar sect saw one of their beggars taking a bath like this, the leader might foam at the mouth. But Sanho simply stands there, deep in thought. Zhang compliments Sanho's physique and asks if he got that huge scar while fighting the tailless phantom demon. Sanho replies that the scars he earned fighting that creature are nothing compared to this one. Zhang, stunned, asks which demonic martial artist could leave a scar worse than a phantom demon. Sanho smiles faintly, remembering a young Yonho crying over him, begging him to wake up. He reveals that this is a scar he received back when Yonho had no idea how terrifying a sword could truly be. Back at the Golden Flower Manor, Dosun asks who Yonho is. Yonho simply points at himself and replies that he is Yonho. Dosun silently stares at him for a moment, then turns to Jua Giol and asks if it's really him, which Jua Giol confirms. Dosun lashes out at Giol, saying Yonho is too young. Giol reminds him that he already said Yonho was young. Dosun argues back, saying Giol also reported that Yonho was a martial master, so he must have exaggerated because Yonho is just a kid. Turning back to Yonho, Dosun says that even a kid has to pay for interfering in their business and orders his men to move forward. But Yonho tells them to wait. Daifeng hands Jinsoa a paper and a pen. Yonho tells Jinsoa to sign it, but Jinsoa hesitates. Yano tells him he'll explain everything later and urges him to sign, which Jinsoa finally does. Facing Dosun, Yonho asks how much money the Sacred Hand Manor owes them. Dosun answers that it is 20 gold nyang and 50 silver, only to find 2 boxes placed in front of him. Surprised, he asks what they are. Yonho explains that it is the debt the Sacred Hand Manor owed and tells Dosun to write a guarantee that the debt is fully paid and take the money. Water drips from Dosun's mouth as he stares at the boxes. He asks Yonho if he plans to resolve everything with just this amount. Yonho calmly replies that he even added a bit more than what they owed. Juagyo leans in and reminds Dosun that they aren't there for money. They came to take down the Sacred Hand Manor. But Dosun keeps staring at the gold. Dosun finally says that money isn't the problem right now. He can't allow them to interfere with their business. Yano asks if he wants a fight. Dosun smiles and says this isn't a fight but a punishment. He orders his men to bring him Yonho's head. The men obey, surrounding Yonho and attacking from all directions, but their swords strike nothing but air. Yonho is suddenly sitting on their blades and tells Dosun that he's going to regret this. Shocked, the men freeze. Yonho then launches his counterattack, punching one man in the face and striking another in the neck with his elbow, sending them all flying at once, while he stands firm. Dosun watches in horror, his mouth wide open. Juagyo reminds him that he already said Yonho was a martial master. Yonho cuts in, saying he wants to end things quickly, so Dosun should tell the people hiding in the back to come out. Dosun, sweating, asks how Yonho knew. Dropping the question, he orders the hidden men to come out and help him. Men dressed in all black step forward, swords in hand, slowly approaching Yonho. Finding them familiar, Yonho asks if they've ever met before, but he is suddenly hit by a surprise attack. Yonho leans back just in time, narrowly dodging it. Stepping back and regaining his balance, he admits the attack scared him. He thought this would be a chill fight, but that was fast, and he wonders if it was the hidden sword technique. Yonho recalls his master explaining the hidden sword technique used by assassins. Its purpose is to kill without being noticed. His master once asked him what he would do if he encountered them. At the time, Yonho didn't know. His master then told him that anyone who uses that technique is a murderer who has killed countless people, so he should never hold back. If he ever meets such assassins, he must kill them all immediately. With no choice but to give it his all, Yonho goes to Daifeng and asks him for a sword, which Daifeng hands over instantly. Drawing the blade, Yonho warns that things are about to get loud, so everyone should stand back. The assassins, startled that Yonho dodged the attack, realize he's no ordinary kid. One of them warns the others that their enemy is a martial master and tells them not to underestimate him. They attack all at once. Yonho grips the sword tightly, closes his eyes, and focuses. His aura surges wildly around him, forcing the assassins to shield their eyes. Yonho recalls his master's words. He must not be shaken by every moment. He must begin with an unbending spirit and never falter, even when an enemy's sword is coming straight at him. Taking a deep breath, Yonho plants his foot firmly on the ground and cuts down 2 assassins in a single strike. Another assassin rushes from the front, but Yonho blocks the attack and slices the man's sword clean in half. Yonho cuts him down in the very next moment. The assassin falls to the ground while Yonho moves on to the next opponent. 2 assassins rush in together, but Yonho raises his sword above his head. With a serious expression and a sudden flash of light emerges, Yonho ends it with a powerful downward slash, cutting both assassins down in a single strike. Another assassin charges at Yonho, sword pointed straight at him. Yonho channels his energy into his blade, performing a unique technique, and slips past the attacker. The assassin spurts blood as Yonho's cut takes him down instantly. The last remaining assassin stands at a distance, hesitant to approach. Yonho prepares for the next attack, forming a glowing purple ball of energy. The enemy stares at the light with wide, fearful eyes. Yonho raises his sword once more, his aura surging wildly as multiple crosses of light appear above him. He stands firm, his sword held high. Yonho swings the blade down toward his enemies. The crosses of light burst forward, rushing toward the remaining foe. Powerful beams of light rain down, striking the assassin from above. Daifeng shields himself with his arms while Jin Soa stands frozen, mouth wide open in shock. All the enemies lie on the ground, defeated. A glowing cross is scorched into the floor from Yonho's attack. Yonho stands with his sword in hand, his master's figure faintly visible behind him. He states that he's cut their chi veins and sealed their ability to use martial arts. so they won't be able to harm anyone again. Looking at the fallen assassins, Yonho feels they seem a bit familiar, but he lets go of the thought, figuring he'll understand it someday. When Yonho turns toward Dosun, both of them raise their guard. Yonho clenches his fist, calling out to Dosun, who shrinks back in fear. With a mocking tone, Yonho asks if Dosun wasn't the one who said he was going to punish someone. Yonho says that his master taught him that letting people mess with him without doing anything is a personal insult to his master. So he tries to live by those words. Dosun drops to the ground, begging. He says people make mistakes sometimes, and if Yonho forgives him, he will turn his life around and live as a good person. Yonho replies that wanting to change for the better is good, but after everything Dosun has done, who would believe him? Dosun asks what Yonho intends to do. Yonho answers that killing him would be too much. He'll just take an eye for an eye, pointing towards something behind Dosun. Dosun looks at the assassins lying on the ground and realizes Yonho intends to cripple his ability to use martial arts. Yonho smiles and says he loves people who understand him right away. Dosun, looking desperate, asks if there's really no other option. Yonho smiles sinisterly and makes an X with his fingers, saying no. Dosun curses himself, thinking he's done for. Suddenly, a bright light explodes within the Golden Flower Manor. In the next moment, Dosun is lying face down on the ground. Yonho turns to Juagil and tells him to guide him to their base. That day, the Dark Earth Branch sect, once the strongest in Hubei, met its downfall. At the Sacred Hand Manor, Yeren stands outside with worry written all over her face. She wonders where her brother Jin Soa has gone. Just then, Soa bursts through the door in excitement, calling for her. Yeren asks why he's so worked up. Jin Soa reveals that they have repaid all their debt. Yeren replies that he must be dreaming, but Jin Soa insists it's true and explains everything in detail. After listening, Yeren asks again if this is really true. Jin Soa confirms it, saying they are finally free, all thanks to Yonho. Clutching her hands to her chest, Yeren says she's glad and that now they owe Yonho a great debt. Then her expression turns serious as she scolds Jin Soa, saying it was wrong to try repaying their debt through gambling. But she decides to let it pass since he wasn't the one gambling, and orders him never to go near the gambling house again. Jin Soa, thinking deeply, asks if the method really matters that much. Yeren replies that a person who does not walk the orthodox path is bound to hit a wall. She asks Jin Soa if he's truly okay with gambling after seeing what their father went through. Jin Soa argues that Yeren might have been dragged to the escort house and asks if she can still say it was bad. Yeren answers yes with a straight face and states that a physician should always walk the orthodox path. Jin Soa thinks for a moment, then says that she's too stuck up. He did his best for her, yet all she can see is something to scold him for. Yeren replies that everything she says is for his sake. Soa remarks that if they did everything her way, they would have stayed in this place forever. He says this isn't for him. He wants to live his own life. Both of them stand under the night sky in silence. The next day, at the Great Hanlim Institute, Yuan welcomes both Sanho and Jang Il. They bow, and Sanho thanks him for receiving them despite their unannounced visit. Yuan says that since he is Yonho's big brother, of course they would welcome them. Sanho apologizes for anything rude Yonho may have done, but Yuan denies the need and asks if Sanho is here to find Yonho. If so, Yuan asks for a moment to say a few words. Sanho allows it. Yuan asks Sanho if he understands the potential Yonho has. It's not something that can be restrained. From what he can see of Sanho's personality, Sanho will try to shape Yonho according to his expectations, but that will only ruin him. Everyone ends up hurt if they try to force a horse into a small house. Yuan asks Sanho to let Yonho be free. Then, someday, he will become a horse running across the plains. Sanho looks at Yuan in confusion, then thanks him for the advice, saying he will think about it. Later, both Sanho and Jang Il are seen leaving the Hanlim Institute. Jang Il asks why Sanho looks displeased even after they ate and rested, but Sanho stays deep in thought. Sanho asks him how Yonho was when Jang Il last saw him. Jang Il replies that Yonho only treated him well because he was Sanho's brother. Otherwise, he doesn't even seem human. He's lazy, evil like someone from unorthodox Murim, and cunning like a politician. But when Jang Il glances at Sanho while calling Yonho annoying, he notices Sanho thinking about something. Sanho knows that normal people cannot see through Yonho's talent, and he realizes that Yonho has changed a lot from how he used to be. Back at the Sacred Hand Manor, Yonho wakes up from his sleep. Sitting up, he stretches his arms, wondering how long he was asleep. Jumping down, Yano curses the sleep training art because he feels like he was beat up in real life. Just then, Yeren thanks him for everything he has done for them. Yano gets scared seeing her there. She kneels on the ground, saying that she can't possibly repay him for it. Yano panics, asking what she's doing and tells her to get up, but Yeren asks if she can request a favor from him. Hearing that, Yano wonders if he's being cursed by his ancestors or something. She requests Yonho to change Soa's mind. When Yonho stays silent with a puzzled look, she explains that Soa has to inherit the sacred hand manor to revive it and regain their honor. But he's shaken right now, and she asks Yonho to change his mind. Yonho says he doesn't understand. Becoming a great physician and reviving the manor are two completely different things. He asks her which one is more important to her. She asks if she's supposed to pick one. Yonho confirms. After thinking for a moment, she chooses the revival of the sacred hand manor. She explains that even if Jin Soa becomes a great physician, their father's will cannot be fulfilled if the manor is not revived. But if the sacred hand manor is restored, they will have a chance of producing a great physician in the future. Yonho replies that he understands. The priority is to revive the manor. And for that to happen, there is a very simple solution. Meanwhile, at the Hao sect in the Kaifeng prefecture, Nang Nang is biting her lip in anger, still furious at Zhang Il for bringing Sanho there, thinking that the next time she sees him, she's going to kill him. Just then Gongmu comes running and informs her of a big problem. She asks what it is now, then sees Yonho's mother and father behind him. Yonho's father asks her if she's the one in charge. Not knowing who they are, she thinks that just anyone walks in these days, and answers that she is. Yonho's father introduces himself as Wei Zhong'an. Hearing that, she is shocked and blurts out his title, the righteous chivalrous swordsman. Zhong'an confirms, saying that since she knows who he is, he won't need to explain further. Just as he was about to tell her why they came, his wife pushes him aside, telling him to move. She asks why he's flexing. They don't have time for that right now. Zhong'an tries to explain, but she shuts him up. Looking at them, Nang Nang is dumbfounded and begins to doubt whether he's really the righteous chivalrous swordsman. Turning to Nang Nang, Yonho's mother says that Yonho sent a letter to them from here and asks if she can explain what happened.